Okay. Mr. Smith, he sent someone else.
It's Bach, Mr. Bach.
Oh, Mr. Bach. Good morning, Mr. Bach.
Good morning, Your Honor.
It says you're here for LAFCU, but are you filling in for
Tim Smith?
Tim Smith? Okay, Michelle Murray did not appear. Okay, she's failed to appear. So we can do a bench warrant.
Okay.
You know what the past due amount is?
Excuse me?
You know what the total debt, I think the time of
Yep.
the judgment,
The
it was
balance is-
1,100,
Yeah, the balance is 1,300 now.
1,300, okay. I'll do a $300 bond.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
No one appeared for Korea Jones either.
Okay, Ms. Francis, are you there?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. We're on the record in the matter of Credit Acceptance Corporation versus Ashley Ampey. File number is 19-01530 GCE. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor, and Abdul Francis on behalf of Plaintiff's Attorney of Record.
And you're Ms. Ampey? Yes, you can come up to the table there, ma'am. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Ashley Ampey.
Okay, and you're proceeding without an attorney, correct?
Yes,
Today was the date that was set for a objection hearing. Plaintiff was objecting to your motion for installment payments. My understanding though is that you all have come to a resolution. Is that correct? Ms.
Yes.
That is
Francis?
correct, Your Honor.
Okay, what is the
Parties-
resolution?
We have agreed that defendant will pay $165 per month, beginning November 18th.
But how much a month?
$165.
Beginning November 18th. Okay. That's your agreement, ma'am? Is that a yes?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any questions today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Just the wage garnishment will be suspended, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're gonna prepare an order for us? Is that correct?
Yes, we can send in an order, Judge.
I think I can just edit the one that she has here. With that.
Thank you, Judge.
No problem. 165. Per month. Getting the 8. She's gonna make payments to the that's the plaintiff's attorney here. Is that still where the payments are gonna go?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. And so the writ of garnishment is suspended. Okay, I've edited and signed the order that she filed regarding installment payments. And so we'll be all set for today, okay, ma'am?
Okay, thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Judge.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, Mr. Bardha.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay, on the record in the matter of Credit Acceptance Corporation versus Danny King. This is file number 19-02533 GC. Council appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Suzanne Barda, P65425 on behalf of the plaintiff.
Thank you, and I see Mr. Danny King present on the screen. Mr. King, are you represented by counsel today?
Yes.
No.
No. Oh, no.
Mr. King? Oh, okay, are you sure?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you met privately with Mr. Barda. Mr. Barda, did you all come to an agreement on this?
We have, Your Honor, Mr. King filed a motion for installment payments of $20, but we've agreed that those installment payments will be $50 with the first payment on or before November 10th, and then $50 on the 10th of each month thereafter. And I believe we're all stipulating to that at this time.
Okay, and the writ of garnishment will be suspended, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll amend the order that's in the file. That's your agreement, Mr. King?
Yes.
Sorry? Okay, I'm sorry, I hear somebody other than Mr. King responding.
I'm just wondering, where do we make the payments at?
Those
I
payments,
have
will-
here that you're supposed to make the payments to the plaintiff's attorney. Is that correct, Mr. Barda?
that is correct. The law firm of Weber and Olsey's, they should have the address with their paperwork.
Okay.
Okay, do you have any questions, Mr. King?
Nope, no, that's it.
Okay, I'll sign the order and date it for today, and you're all set.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Which matter is this?
This is the next one.
I didn't say I was calling you, so I'm gonna call Zoom first. Andrew Perry?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Okay, it's like approximately, Karika Jones, I don't think we've seen Karika. Have you seen Karika?
I have not seen Miss Jones, Judge.
Okay, Karika Jones has failed to appear. Let's see here, if I can locate the correct file. Oh, okay.
Judge, I think this is our third trial on this matter. It was my understanding that it was resolved. We sent a couple of the agreement, the same agreement to her twice, and we haven't received it back. And she's failed to appear.
Okay, yeah, I see that here. Looks like she did come on the 27th though of July. And then we adjourned the August 29th to allow the defendant to take advantage of the conditional dismissal. She's not appeared today, so at this point, there's nothing I can do, but entertain your motion if you're making a motion to default.
Yeah, perfect, Judge. I am requesting the entry of a default judgment against Miss Jones for failure to appear. The amount alleged in the complaint, $772.21, plus our filing fee, and the filing fee was $55, and our service fee $39.48.
Okay, default judgment will enter. If you want to prepare that and send it over to Judge Simmons courtroom at lansingmi.gov, I'll review and sign it.
Judge, can I get that email address one more time?
absolutely Judge Simmons Courtroom at lansingmi.gov.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Any additional matters for the record?
No, Judge.
Okay, you're all set.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I don't know which one- oh, he's at 9. Okay, for the next show. Okay, Mr. Benaj.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have Walensky and Gonzalez. Okay. This is the matter of Benaj versus Walensky and Gonzalez. File number is 22-003001GZ. Mr. Benaj, do you have an attorney today?
No.
Okay, and Ms. Walensky and Mr. Gonzalez, do you all have an attorney? No. Okay, today was the date that I ordered a hearing to be set. Because the last time we were here, which was back in March, the defendant had already returned all of the booths except for 2, and they were going to return the remaining 2 on that date, and they needed to file an answer. And we were going to set this for a pre-trial. And we got a request for default judgment against the second defendant for failure to answer the complaint. The judgment is for money only because the property was returned, but with damage. Is that correct?
Yes,
The property was damaged?
it was damaged.
Okay. Plaintiff is requesting part of this money judgment and claim for profits for more than $19,000. Okay, so Ms. Walensky, did you file an answer?
The day that we were here, I filed paperwork that was supposed to be filed, I believe.
Okay, I do see where you filed an answer. Mr. Gonzalez did not file an answer.
Oh,
I didn't know I
it
was
was,
supposed to.
yeah, it was, we were just
I'm just here
together.
because I cashed a check. I cashed a check. and she
Okay,
never
you
paid
did,
out.
his name is not on here, that's the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was.
This answer says, I have not returned to booths. So it's personal to you,
I returned everything and everything.
but the issue, he's requesting to default you because you didn't file an answer.
Oh, I don't know.
We didn't understand, I didn't understand that because,
I want to talk to Mr.
I'm
Gonzalez.
sorry.
Thank you. You can sit down.
I mean, they're friends and they did, their deal and stuff and, I didn't have nothing to do with it, Your Honor, except for when he wrote the checks, he wrote, my company, my body.
Why
shop.
didn't you write an answer indicating
I
that?
didn't know I was supposed to. Your Honor.
No, you did know, because I told you the last time you were here, that's my note. Defendants, there's 2 of you.
See, I've never done
No.
this before, Your Honor.
Yeah, I know you don't, I don't, but I told you in March, defendants, that's you and her,
Okay.
are to file an answer. You are already behind the ball on filing the answer, but I gave you an opportunity to do it, then and you didn't. Why did you not?
I guess I didn't understand, Your Honor.
Okay, what part of that do we not understand?
I just didn't understand, I'm sorry. We made it, we're gonna finish up this stuff, we already talked to him about it,
Finish up with stuff.
the rest of this.
We come to an
Come to agreement.
You all have come to an agreement?
yes,
What is the agreement?
Agreement is, she is gonna fix all the damaged boots and seats and the rest of the seats. And she's gonna finish for 1 month. So I'm gonna have to pay only for material because they said it's not enough and we didn't find. I said, okay, I'm about to pay for material they buy for whatever they need. but the labor is not gonna be paid.
Okay. Are you able to put this agreement in writing if we give you a paperwork? Because you're gonna need to sign this agreement. Okay? That's what you agreed to?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to repeat it so I know that it's the same
Oh,
thing.
yes,
I agree to finish everything that needs to be finished and to repair what needs to be repaired and within 1 month. And I am not,
And
all,
that's,
I get no labor costs. And he's gonna pay for the material.
That's
And,
correct?
yes,
and I'm
yes,
gonna
only.
finish everything for him.
and that's gonna be to the end of the November.
And what is his role in this?
Same thing, it's,
He's gonna finish the work?
Yes.
yeah,
What's
both
happening?
of them, yes.
He finishes, you do that kind of work?
I don't do that kind of work, but I'm gonna help her
He's
do
gonna
it.
help me.
I'm gonna help her finish it off.
Okay. How exactly is he involved in this?
Well, they had the company, when I wrote the check, and I got right
You have a company
here.
together?
No,
Well, Honor,
his bank account.
She didn't, she
Okay.
didn't have bank account, so she wanted to know she was my bank account. I said,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's why I
That's
got
how-
involved in it.
Oh,
So I
yeah, well,
told
then
her-
you're definitely involved
I
then.
Yeah.
told
That's
her-
all I wanted to hear.
I told her, after this, Your Honor, I'll never cash another check. from you again, so don't ask me ever again.
That was
I've
my
never been
mistake.
in court for electronic like this.
I get it.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Okay, I'm gonna get a form to you all. You need to put this agreement in writing and sign it. Possible, find out what form they need to put it in writing if you don't have it. Any additional matters for the record today?
No.
Okay, you're all set. You can have a seat there. We'll get you paperwork, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Was in the waiting room. Rika did not appear.
Yeah, we can just-
Sir, what's your name?
Attorney Trump
Okay,
on
Mr.
Gray
Chen.
versus.
I saw Mr. Krug, I thought.
Yeah, you had quite a few cases this morning. Do we have a set amount of time for a bench trial?
Oh, I'm not sure who would set two bench trials at 9 and one at 9:30. I don't know what they thought was gonna happen.
Yeah. Try to negotiate there. There's no negotiation. Maybe this could be, another date.
No, we're running. Whoever's good first, ready to go first goes first. Everybody else waits. That's how that's gonna go. Okay, Mr. Cox, I see you and Ms. Clemens. And Mr. Clemens have returned on the record in the matter of Farm Bureau Insurance versus Decima Nicole Clemens and Jamal Clemens. File number is 22-00891 GC. Council appearance.
Yeah, good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court, Keith Cox of Winters and Associates on behalf of the plaintiff, P59146. I'm appearing on behalf of the attorney of record, Susan Winters.
Very good. And then Ms. Clemens and Mr. Clemens, you're proceeding today without an attorney, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, so you both met privately for a pretrial. Did you either come to an agreement or complete a joint pretrial statement?
Your Honor, we've not come to an agreement. They had made an offer when we last had met, and we have countered, and we've not been able to bridge the gap. We walked through what I think are the answers to what will be required of the pretrial order. I was going to email that over to them to make sure it was okay, and then we can submit it to the court.
Okay, very good. And it sounds like it's a possibility that you still are gonna work through some negotiations, or have negotiation ended?
As of today, they've ended. I've told the defendants that we're still willing to negotiate up until the day before any trial that might be set by the court, but as of right now, I think we've stalled out.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll look forward to getting the joint pretrial statement, and once we receive that, we'll be able to kick out a scheduling order and future trial dates, okay?
Very good.
Do you have any questions today, Ms. Clemens or Mr. Clemens?
I know we do not, Your Honor.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then you're all set.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so it's 9:10. I have Mr. Bates, but I don't see anybody for Synchrony Bank. All right. Mr. Klug is here. And Mr. Chambi is here. Are you all ready to proceed? Sir, did you want your exhibits?
Yes.
I don't have a file for Bates. What's this? That's not it either. Mr. Bates? You can unmute, please. You have to unmute.
Done?
Yes.
Okay,
How are you, sir?
good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. We
Good.
received a order of judgment indicating that you've agreed to pay $948. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. When I signed it and sent it back, he told me he would let me know if I still needed to show up, and I haven't. It's been difficult to talk to him.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yep, you're all set. I'm gonna sign it today, and then this will resolve the matter, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, let's see what's happening here. Oh. This is- I just really wish that they would clear files more like criminal, so it's easy to figure out what's what. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of Jason Gray and Fresh Perspective LLC versus James Holmes and Jason Holmes.
Yeah, I understand all the schedule. Didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's happening here.
Yeah.
Why is it Jason Gray down here? What in the world's happening in here? File number is 21-03329 GC, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Chambi on behalf of Jason Gray and Fresh Perspective. Plaintiff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jeff Booth on behalf of James Holmes, the defendant, counterclaim plan.
Oh. Okay, and this is Jason Gray. And it's here for Fresh Perspective. These are witnesses back here. Is that what's going on? Interesting. Okay. It says that you're representing Fresh Perspective. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You're on behalf of both of them. Okay.
Yes.
And then this is James. Who's Jason?
Plaintiff, Jason Gray.
Jason Holmes. Who's Jason Holmes?
That's just James Holmes.
Yeah, it says, I'm not following what happened here. It says James Holmes and Jason Holmes.
It should just be James Holmes here.
Okay, so that's an error. What does RO1 mean?
I'm trying to forget that.
Yeah, some civil must have put something in here that's weird. So we will cross out Jason Holmes because we don't know who Jason Holmes is. And then it looks like they join both names there. And then we already have Jason Gray as plaintiff one. Okay, today was the date that was set for a bench trial. And my understanding is parties tried to discuss resolution and they were unable to come to resolve, correct? Okay, and we're ready to proceed with the bench trial. Any preliminary matters before we proceed?
Mercer.
Okay. And how many witnesses are you each calling?
I have two this morning.
Okay,
I have one, Your Honor.
you have one. We're requesting sequestration of witnesses.
I'm not, Your Honor.
Not necessary.
Okay, then you can proceed.
Yeah, I'd like to go straight to proofs. That's okay with you? Your Honor?
Absolutely.
All right. Your Honor, I call Mr. Jason Gray to the stand.
You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
do.
Okay, you can have a seat there, sir. There's a microphone that's in front of you. I have a court recorder behind you. So you need to take down everything that's being stated here today. So all of your responses need to be verbal. They should be loud and clear so we can understand them. And that way we can create a clear record, okay? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. And so if you hear an objection, you would stop speaking immediately. And that will allow me to make a ruling on the objection. And then I will advise you if that's an answer you can give or not, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. State your first and last name and spell both of them.
Jason Gray.
Okay, you can proceed, counsel.
Can you spell your first and last name?
JASONGRAY.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gray. What's your line of work?
I'm a painter,
How long have you been a painter?
about 10 years.
Do you have any particular personal qualifications, certifications as a painter?
I have lead, bait, construction license.
Were you employed in something else prior to working as a painter?
Yes, the United States Army.
Do you own a painting business?
I do.
What's that painting business called?
Fresh perspective.
Your Honor, plaintiff's exhibit 1. I have a EPA.gov printout from the website showing certified renovation firms, in this case, Fresh Perspective. Yeah, Coach.
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to this documentation on hearsay number 2, relevance. The entity that's in question is Fresh Perspective Painting, not Fresh Perspective LLC. So this entity is not even involved in this lawsuit.
Well, the court docket says Fresh Perspective LLC, so somebody figured that was Fresh Perspective LLC. That's what the small claims affidavit says, Fresh Perspective LLC.
The actual, when it gets to the contract, is Fresh Perspective Painting LLC. So I kind of reserve my objection until we figure out
Yeah,
the
it
contract
was
requirements.
filed as Fresh Perspective LLC.
I've given you a printout, Mr. Gray, of the EPA.gov website showing your painting business is an EPA certified lead safe renovation business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I move to enter plaintiff exhibit number 1.
Okay, withdrawing your objection at this time.
I would like to reserve my objection to prepare the contract parties.
Okay, it's an objection is reserved. The plaintiff's exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Has your certification expired, Mr. Gray?
No, sir.
Based on the document that I handed you, was your painting business an EPI certified lead safe renovation business for all of 2021?
Yes.
How did you first come to know Mr. Holmes?
He approached me. One of my other clients referred him to me. That I do several paintings for. And he was the designer of the paint job and was running out of time and approached me for a bid and came to my job site.
How did he contact you?
Your phone.
Was Mr. Holmes interested in your painting business services?
Yes.
What did Mr. Holmes need to be painted?
The exterior of the house was chipping and much deterioration. He needed the paint chip to be scraped, removed, and it to be primed, painted, and fill in caulking gaps that exceeded quarter inch.
Did you want your business to give him a quote?
Yes,
Did you go see the house?
yes.
Do you remember what the condition of the house was when you first saw it?
It was pretty rough on most sides. Some sides the sun didn't beat down as much as the others, but it was pretty rough. Paint was flaking away. There was lots of exposed wood and it needed a paint job. Probably wasn't painted in 15 years or so.
Did you take pictures with your smartphone of the exterior of Mr. Holmes' house?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I have plaintiff's exhibit number 2. There are 5 pictures. The first one is marked as exhibit number 2.
Okay, have you,
And I'm going to provide,
yeah,
provided these in black and white. Plaintiff's exhibit number 2 are pictures taken on August the 3rd, 2001, showing the condition of Mr. Holmes' exterior part of the house. That's what I just handed.
Are you testifying to when these are taken?
No, that, I was just giving a title of the pictures. But I'm gonna go right into creating a
well, you
foundation.
should probably ask him what these documents are.
That's
and
what I was
then
gonna lead to.
Ask if they
I-
can be admitted, and then he'll object if he wants to.
Yes. I've given you 5 pictures you took with your smartphone of the exterior part of Mr. Holmes' house. Is that correct?
Yes, these are the pictures.
There was an objection to the question being a leading question.
Okay. What did I just hand?
You handed me the pictures that I took before I started work on the house and the condition of the house. Because I always take before, during, and after pictures. And these are pictures of the front. You can see flaking paint, exposed wood. You see 4 different colors. You also see storm windows attached over every window. On the side, same thing. You see storm windows, exposed wood, chipping paint, fading of paint. It's the duration of how long it has been since it's been painted. The third picture of weathered wood, exposed wood, chipping paint, storm windows, 3 different colors. And this picture shows, 4th picture shows exposed wood, missing paint, chip paint, 4 colors, storm windows covering the inner part of the windows. And the 5th picture shows 4 colors, exposed wood, chipping wood, and deterioration of colors from it not being painted.
Did you take these pictures?
I did
With what?
with my iPhone.
You recall what date you took these pictures?
I believe it was 7/29. It could have been August. One of those things.
Your Honor, I move to enter plaintiff's exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Plaintiffs to are. Again, this is. What date were these taken?
August 3rd,
August of this year?
2021.
2021. Thank you.
Your Honor, now I'm gonna provide the witness on exhibit number 3, plaintiff's exhibit number 3.
Okay, well, before you publish, you
Okay.
gotta get it admitted. You gotta make sure there's no objection before you start publishing stuff. You're publishing things that he may object to.
Oh, I understand. Okay. All right.
So you get your exhibit in through him, give him a copy, and then if he doesn't object, or if I agree to admitting over his objection, then you can publish it.
Just used to another process.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No
clarification. All right. What did I just hand you, Mr. Gray?
This is the contract that we entered on 7/29/21 between me and Mr. Holmes. First perspective. Okay.
On what date did you enter this contract?
7/29/21.
And for what was this contract?
This contract was for 2 colors instead of 4 colors to be painted. Scraping the loose paint, caulking areas as needed. Prime 2 coats prime and then 2 coats of finish color, white for the trim and color match for the color match blue for the exterior windows only.
On what date did you enter, your business entered this contract?
7/29/21.
Your Honor, I move to enter plaintiff's exhibit number 3. I have no objection.
Okay, sentence 3 is admitted. Thank you.
What is the address of Mr. Holmes' house or business contracted with him to paint the exterior of the house?
209 West Kilbourne Street.
Based on this contract, what did your business agree to do?
We agreed to scrape the loose paint and caulk all the areas that had cracked. Prime it once and then put 2 coats of finish color. And do white trim around the soffit, fascia, trim, and everything else was supposed to be matched to the color blue.
What was exterior window only?
Exterior window only. If you look at the pictures, previously they had storm windows, preventing us to getting into the inner part of the windows. And I said there was no way that I could accomplish that, glaze it, scrape it, prep it before September. And he said that that was fine and that we could do that at a later date. So I put exterior window only, and that's only the trim around the storm.
And you put at the end of that section, your quote includes some other language. What was that all about?
Because the property had 2 sides to it, and this was a big a big house, I wanted to put signs out, and so I offered James Holmes that if I get to put my signs up for the duration of the job, and also for 2 weeks after, that I would take off $1,000 off of the total price, and he agreed.
So what ended up being the amount your business agreed to do this job?
For this contract, $16,840.
When was payment due for this contract?
Half upon starting and the other half due upon completion.
Was there an issue that arose with getting Mr. Holmes to give you that first down payment?
There was actually, he handed me a check that was blank and it didn't have his name, address. It was pretty questionable. So he stated that he needed to borrow funds from his father and move it to an account that did have the check with the correct lettering. And for a check that high, I wanted a legit check.
But did he ultimately give you that payment?
He did, and it went through.
How much was left for him to pay your business at the completion of the paint job?
Which was what?
How much was left for him to pay at the completion of the paint job?
For this job, it was in 8,920.
Would it be 7,920 with that 1,000 deducted?
No. Yeah, no.
Would be, okay, 7. Okay, okay.
He paid 8,920. Is that correct?
Yeah.
7,920.
Did Mr. Holmes say by when you have to finish this paint job?
No, he said he would like it to be done in September.
Of 2021?
Yeah. I told him it's, I can't give him a date because weather pending and I was taking his job so quickly. And on top of that, I already had a vacation scheduled. For I believe the second week.
Did you start the job right away on July 29th?
No, August 3rd. We started the job.
You start August 3rd. Okay. And exhibit number 2, the pictures that I provided you. When did you again take those pictures? July 29th, 2021 or August 3rd, 2021?
I would think it would be 7/29. I normally take pictures when I do the bill.
Okay.
Right before I start.
So you took those pictures prior to starting the job?
Yeah.
Okay. How many workers worked on this paint job on any given date during the time your business was working on this paint job?
4, including myself.
So 5 total? Give them a 5.
Yeah. A total of 5.
Oh, okay. You said 4, including yourself.
Yeah, it was 4 people plus me.
Did you ever work on this house by yourself on any date?
No.
What was the least amount of workers that you can recall on any given day working on this paint job at the house?
3.
3. Would that be including yourself?
Well, some people would show up late, so I would say 4 for the majority of the day, and yeah, including myself.
Okay. So that would be the least amount that.
Yes.
Not including the pay you would receive, how much in general would your business labor costs be for each day on this paint job?
Objection as to relevance. This is a specific contract price with this labor and everything else have to do with it.
Well, what is the relevance?
Relevance is because they're claiming damages. So I'm trying to provide what damages my.
Well, the damages is the contract price, then, wouldn't it be? Is he claiming something other than that?
Well, in his small claims, he's talking about interference regarding defendant for what he was doing. So this is going into that.
In small claims, he's only seeking $6,500.
That's his initial claim.
It's never amended.
That's what we have. We don't have where he was seeking anything else but breach of contract. Unless I missed something. Can you point me to where I missed?
There's no amendment.
Okay, well then the objection is sustained.
How many days did you expect you needed to finish this paint job?
Roughly about 12, again, depending on rain, and weather.
So if good weather for 12 days, you would be finishing this paint job.
Absolutely.
What was the last day you and your workers worked on this paint job
August 31st,
of 2020, 2021?
2021.
You mentioned you started working on this paint job on August the 3rd. Did you work on this paint job every day from August 3rd to August 31, 2021?
No, I don't work Saturdays, and we did take a vacation from Wednesday to Sunday. I believe the second week of August, and he was well informed of that before we started the contract.
You mentioned that your business needed 12 days to finish this job. Why was your business at the August 31st still working on this paint job?
So there was constant interference. Mr. Holmes would approach us and the workers, different people at different times, and scrape, peel back paint, claiming that it wasn't properly scraped off. And then he added work. We showed up and he was removing the storm windows from the bottom half and asked me if I could remove the upper half since we had ladders and people. I told him that we couldn't be liable for the windows and that was going to add more days to the work because instead of taping 4 pieces of tape around one storm window, now you're looking at 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40 pieces of tape and extra cutting time. And he said that he was okay with that. He just wanted it primed so it was taken care of throughout the winter. So when he hired us to do future work on the windows, that they would at least be primed and not getting more weather damage.
What other things did Mr. Holmes ask you to do that wasn't in the July 29, 2021 exterior paint contract?
He had a problem with the scraping. He believed that after scraping that the paint would continue to chip at a later date, and he wanted us to sand down. So we had to get orbitals and sanding things for that, and we sanded everything to get all the loose paint removed.
You saying this is not part of the original agreement?
No, the original agreement was to scrape it.
Anything else that you were asked to do that wasn't part of the original?
Yes, about a week into it, we were so elated and happy with our work. Besides talking online about how great we were doing, he wanted us to do a second contract and do the interior kitchen of his house, of one of the rentals. I believe there's 4 or 5 of them.
So you mentioned these things were what made it that you would have to take longer to complete this paint job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I'm talking about, or what I'm asking is, his interference was one.
It was a major part of it.
Asking you for a second paint job contract to do.
Yes.
And also extra tasks that weren't on your original exterior painting job contract.
Correct.
Did you have to buy more materials
Quite a bit more materials.
for these extra tasks that the defendant was asking you to do?
Yes.
How much do you think you paid?
I would say probably a little over 1,000 with the orbitals, the standing blocks, the one standing block probably was efficient for 4 by 4 feet. And then we got all the, again, we went from 4 pieces of tape to I think 36 pieces of tape. And then adding the longer word, when there was rain, then we had to retape stuff instead of 4 pieces, then we had to retape again, another 36 pieces as well.
Thank you. Did you take any pictures while you're doing this work, or?
Yes, we always take before, during, and after. I have during pictures as well.
What did I just send?
These are the pictures of Gary and these are I don't even know how many windows, but you can see that there's quite a bit of windows that we had to take off and stack up, and we had to be slow with it because we didn't want to break any of the windows, so that took a lot of time extra that wasn't in the bid. The second page is all the individual squares that were taped off and painted over and primed. Then the third page is where Mr. Holmes in leasing some areas that needed to be addressed a little bit more between scraping and sanding. Sometimes the primer will show you more than what the original state of the house. So we would go and we would try to remove all the loose areas.
I want to check this. There's no page numbers on this exhibit, so which document are we referring to?
It would be the third one in your set.
They're not stapled, so.
Well, it's easy for you to take one page and move it over. This is the first one. This is the second one. And now we are on the third page right here.
I tried to add a label. It just didn't.
And we're gonna move to the fourth page and pick it up and you look at it. In the fourth page, you can see where we primed, we taped all the windows off. And this is not complete. The fifth page is again taped off the windows and primed, and you can see on the bottom left of the fifth page where there is some areas that we found that we needed to re-prime. On the sixth page is the front side of the house primed after it's been scraped and sanded and individually window taped off and removed of the storm windows. The seventh page is where we are scraping and sanding. Much of it is down to the bare wood. And that was not part of the bid. It was just supposed to be a scrape. It wasn't supposed to, but Mr. Holmes, areas thought that the paint would start to peel back. I told them that he wouldn't, that the primer would seal it and bond it together. But he would take his fingernails and tap it, scrape it. He said he could hear dirt underneath the paint. And creating more and more paint to come off. The 8th page is where we have orbitals in our hands, and we are going through each individual square, getting off sanding as smooth as possible. Each one of the cedar shaped boards. In the window frame. Not the inner parts, because again, we could not, that wasn't part of the bid. The night. Eight. Now the 9th picture is where we are taking off the extra work that was not in the bid. And so we wouldn't have to scrape the paint on the windows. And this is after we scraped the trim in the house and the side, and we run the orbitals, and again, you can see a lot of bare wood. There's a huge difference between day one, no work, and a lot of extensive sanding and scraping that is done. On the 10th page is where it took 2 employees to take down each window, storm window that wasn't in the bid, the original bid, because it's glass and it could slip and one person couldn't safely remove it by themselves. The, I believe, 11th picture is where you can see in the front, from the lower left window to the right side of the front. I mean, that whole wall is basically all sanded down to bare wood. Again, we tried to appease Mr. Holmes because he would come by, scrape, pick at the wood with his fingernails and cause perfectly well scraped an area and cause it to chip more. You can see where we're just prepping the whole house with from head to toe. I gotta count again. We're moving on to the next photo. Is that sufficient, or do you want me to label them?
Just go on to.
The next photo is, again, we are taking off windows. You can see the exposed wood that that we removed all the paint. In the upper left hand side, you can see where we took caulk and filled in some cracks. On the right upper part of the window, you can see where there was a crack that was bigger than a quarter of an inch, and we filled that in as well. On the bottom, you can see where we filled in caulk Um, Again, we are now taking, instead of 4 sides, we are taking 36, and some in the bigger window has more areas and more material and time to cut and tape. On the next photo, you can see where we are up on the roof of the door on the side of the house, and where we had removed paint off the ledges and just trying to get it all the way down to the roof. You can see where just the paint removed from the from the siding all the way down to the roof. We got all the way to there. On the next page, you can see us working on the whole side of the house, and you can see that we thoroughly removed all the loose paint that we could see without putting primer on. And that is it.
Your Honor, I dispense for plaintiff's exhibit 4.
Any objection? Yeah, I made it.
Great, of these pictures, can you, in the order that you were explaining it, show which is the picture of how you left the house on August 31st?
The only one that we left the house like it would be the first picture, and that's how we left the windows stacked nice and neat, so there couldn't be no us leaving inappropriately. We try to leave in a professional manner.
How about of the exterior of the house? Is there a picture that you can say how you left it?
Yes, the second picture shows everything primed, and the soffit, the fascia, and the trim has 2 coats of trim paint on it.
How about the fourth picture?
Same thing, it has the trim, soffit, fascia, has 2 coats of trim, and the whole thing is primed out, ready for first and second coat of wall color.
Is the fourth picture representative how you left the house on August 31st?
Yes. Yes.
How about the fifth picture?
Same thing. It's primed. The trim is sprayed twice. The doors are covered. The side has been scraped and primed, and it is ready for 2 coats of watercolor.
That's how, it's a picture showing how you left it on August the 31st,
Yeah.
2021?
Yes.
How about the sixth picture?
Yes. Like that, and it is scraped, primed, 2 coats of finish coat on the trim, soffit, fascia along the windows, and soffit, fascia, and also on the gutters as well.
So on picture number 2, picture number 4, picture number 5, and picture number 6, do you recall what date you took these pictures?
Would have been August 31st
What year?
of 2021.
And I have a question on picture number 1. Did the exterior paint job contract call for you to take out the storm windows that I'm seeing right here?
No. That was added extra to appease the client. And, it added quite a bit of work.
Right. What did I just hand you, Mr. Gray?
This is a contract between Fresh Perspective Painting and James Holmes on 8/9/21 for the address of 209 West Kilburn Street for the kitchen of his of one apartment of his rentals.
What date did you enter your business enter this contract with Mr. Holmes?
8/9/21.
Your Honor, I move to enter plaintiff's exhibit number 5.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, there's it. Now, 1 second. Mr. Bach, I put you in room 1 with Mr. James.
Thank you.
No problem.
So what was your business contract with Mr. Holmes? Your quote.
It was to remove one wall of wallpaper. They had several layers of wallpaper. To clean it up and as flat as possible with mortar or mud drywall to make it look like the rest of the walls. Because one wall was standing out. It had painted over wallpaper, had several layers of wallpaper and several layers of painted wallpaper. And it stuck out like a sore thumb. And he wanted us to sand down the face of the cabinets. And it says that the client needs to remove all the hardware from the cabinet doors.
What does that mean?
I don't want to be responsible for the cabinet doors. So if the client wants me to do the cabinet doors, I can't sand them while they are hanging on the cabinet. So I have them remove it. And also that way I'm not responsible for making it line up, because there's lots of coats on them cabinet doors. And when he puts it back on, there's probably going to be a gap between the cabinets because it's been painted over for 20, 30, 40 years. So
What else? Your quote say you had on this contract.
all the walls needed to be matte white and not inside the storm window. So again, it's just the outside of, the trim of the window.
What amount did your business agree to receive for doing this paint job?
$2,200.
When was payment due for this contract?
Half was due upon me starting it, and the other half was due upon completion. I always take half up front because that covers labor and materials, and then I did the second portion afterward to help pay the labor and materials.
What date did you start this paint job?
It'd probably be the next day. We would have put two people in there. Back and forth. If we had a rainy day, then we would have just worked in there and or took the cabinets to my house and sanded them down in my pole barn.
Did Mr. Holmes make that first down payment?
He did
How much did he give you?
1,100.
How much was left for him to pay you at the completion of this paint job?
1,100.
Did Mr. Holmes say by when you had to finish this paint job?
No, his main priority was the exterior because we were getting September was coming and it's you have more sunny days in August than you would in September. So that was our main concern was the exterior.
You said you had workers, remind me again, that were working on this paint job. How many again were working on any given day?
2 to 3, I would say. I mean, there was a lot of wallpaper, a lot of hours, more than I actually projected to do. And then there was a lot of money. There was a lot of cracks and imperfect slopes in the wall, and to make it look decent, or as flat as I could possible as it fits in our contract.
Did you ever work on this house by yourself on any day? On this paint job, I should say?
No.
Is this paint job in the interior of the house in that kitchen, were you working on it contemporaneously with the paint job on the exterior of the house?
We would try to as much as possible.
What was the least amount of workers on any given day while you were working on this interior?
I'm gonna object as irrelevance. This is a set price contract.
Yeah, I don't care how many workers were there.
Yeah, we just need to move on a little bit.
You gotta move on.
How many days did you expect to finish this paint job?
Around 3.
Did you finish this paint job in the interior of the house in that kitchen? I'm talking about the August 9, 2021 contract between your business and Mr. Holmes.
It's 99% done. I believe I left some tape and I was unable to remove the plastic in the cabinets or around the cabinets and the paper on the floor, preventing the floor from being damaged any more than it was in the state that I found it in. I mean, we were pretty much run out of there.
What was the last day you and your workers worked on this paint job?
August 31, it was completed.
2021?
August 31 of 21, we took Mr. Holmes in there and we did a walk around. It was complete. For 99% complete.
Did Mr. Holmes ask you to do more on your August 9, 2021 paint job contract?
Yes, he wanted me to fix the corners of the walls. I said that's not in our contract. That's not what we do. If he wanted to, he could go to Home Depot and get a corner bead and make it perfectly new, but it would not be feasible for me to do it. He took his fingernail again and chipped and picked at the corner. And then I said that I could do the best that I can and try to fix it up a little bit, but that's not part of our contract. And it would take a long time to create a corner out of yourself, out of mud, versus going to the store, buying a $3 corner and applying it himself.
Is there anything else he asked you to do that wasn't part of the contract of August 9, 2021?
Again, I'm gonna object to, we have a written contract that's the terms. I don't understand why we have relevance of this testimony.
Why is it relevant?
because he was interfering with his progress in the job and adding on terms to a contract that wasn't in it.
His witness just testified that he didn't do the additional work and it's not a part of this contract. So why are we discussing it?
I
That's
did do
irrelevant.
the work.
He just said he did.
No objection to the
Is there anything else that he added that wasn't on this August 9, 2021 paint job contract?
Yes, inside the cabinets, he wanted sanded down and primed because once he seen how well the outside looked, he thought it looked bad. So we went ahead and sanded the inside and sprayed the inside of the cabinets as well.
Did this add to your costs again, like the
Oh.
other contract?
Absolutely, we had to sand, vacuum, re-vacuum the whole room, paint it, added more paint, the paint was costly and the labor as well.
Did you take pictures of the work you did? Or did you? Did you take pictures of the work you did on the interior paint job?
I did, before, during, and after,
With what did you take these pictures?
my phone.
So did I hand you this? Again?
These are pictures that I took with my phone of the work that I did, of the kitchen, the cabinet doors, the doors. and This is after it's been primed and painted 2 coats. Is the first page. If you take that, you flip it over, you can reach the second page. And it's this is where what was actually contracted was the face of the cabinets. Or the drawers. And you can see that we sanded down as much as possible to remove the exterior of the paint, and you can see the shine of the gloss of the finish coats. On the third page, the next page, you can see where the walls is painted and the pink substance on the corner is where Mr. Holmes picked and created more of a divot, and we had to apply pink spackling mud and try to sand it down and make it look more square. But again, I told him that was pretty square, and if he wanted a perfect square, he could go to Home Depot and buy a corner bead and apply it for himself. You also see where I take off the cabinets and the floor. So they didn't get damaged. There's paper on each of the cabinets, plus there's plastic wrapping the cabinets. On the next page, you can see where I taped off the windows. And I taped off the top of the cabinets and the side of the cabinets. And I put tape around the finished windows, the trim. And then I cut in and we did 2 coats of matte white wall paint. On the next page, after that is the same thing, but you can see where we had to get out the pink can of spackle to fix the corner piece where he was unhappy. And again, painted walls finished. There's no blemishes or anything. And the next page after that is where I they sprayed the face of the cabinets, the inside of the cabinets. You can see finished trim around the door. The door is taped off because it's not a part of the contract. You can see finished walls and where the tape is over the trim, so you can get a line distinction between wall paint and the trim. Next page after that, you can see the other half of the kitchen. Again, the walls are completed. The doors are covered. The painted trim is covered by the tape, and we cut in and roll the walls. The next page is where we put paper all the way down from the entrance of the home all the way down to the kitchen, so we wouldn't damage the floor. And you can see where Mr. Holmes attempted to do his own repair in the dining room. You can see finished cabinet doors stacked up to your right. And you can see that the kitchen, this was the state that I had to leave the place in because of the interference and harassment. It's around it, putting cameras in their face and just continuously picking with his fingernails at finished product. The next page is where, after we removed all the wallpaper, we cleaned up the wallpaper. You can see clean counter cabinets there. You can also see layers and layers of mud to make the area as smooth as possible. The darker areas of the drywall is just mud that hasn't dried yet. And you can see somebody trying to prep the wall a little bit more in the corner. The next page is pictures of the to your right, you will see where there was removal of the paint and several layers of wallpaper. And that is the wall prior to being mudded. And the doors are off. And this is prepped. Finger. Page after that is the fold back we removed the stove so we could get to the wall behind there, and you can see where the homeowner painted around the stove, and that is just condition. Whenever I see something like that, I try to take a picture of it so I can't be blamed. Although he said he didn't care that he was going to repaint the floor himself, we still covered the floors because of all the sanding, the wallpaper, the mud dust. And he said you can see where on the left corner of it is where he tried to put foam where mice had been chewing through.
Let me stop you for a moment, please, sir. We're off the record. Mr. Bach?
Yes.
Control date on this one?
Yes, we did the questionnaire. He's going to provide a little documentation to our office up in Traverse City. But we would like a control date. Yes, maybe 5 weeks out. 5 or 6.
Okay, we'll give you 6 weeks. Do December 1st at 10 a.m. December 1st at 10 a.m.
December 1 at 10?
Yes,
Thank you.
no problem. Mr. James, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, you're all set. And Mr. Bach, let's see, the other one did not appear. Samantha Dennison didn't appear, so a bench warrant can issue.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm just trying to see. I don't have any information in this file, I think.
The balance is about 10,000, 10,300 actually.
Okay, you can do $1,000 bond.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Same to you. Mr. Levine? Hello.
Good morning.
I'm not sure. Good morning. I'm not sure who Cleo Alexander is.
He is the collection manager for the servicer for the plaintiff. And if we needed a witness, you would be the witness for the monitor.
Okay. Anybody named Abu Talib Cornelius here? Okay, well, the defendant failed to appear, so you can submit default.
Thank you, Judge. I'll turn in a default judgment.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, we're back on record. You can proceed, sir.
Thank you. You can also see where there was pest issue, where there's some kind of ant or roach issue that he had, and this is Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, I'm gonna object as to this answer. He's talking about pest rodents. Is he a rodent expert as well? I mean, what's going on here? That's fine the work that he's done. What's the relevance?
Not answering that.
Yeah, I think that'll be stricken from the record. It's not.
I didn't ask the question.
Correct. I don't know if there's a way for us to speed this up.
Almost done with these pictures and
Okay, thank you.
to enter.
Sounds good.
The next picture is where we sanded down several layers of paint. You can count the different colors where it's been painted over the years. There's red, there's yellow, there's white, there's green, there's cream. We did extensive sanding on the shelves and inside the cabinet.
Here, to speed things up, we will admit to allowing those to be introduced. We don't need to go over everything.
Awesome. Where all of them are admitted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
During the time you were.
You want to know what the last picture is?
Yes.
That is the state of before we started. This is the. I maybe 10 coats of paint on this. We can see the dripping of the paint. This is the wall that he wanted me to repair to make it look like it wasn't 5 coats of wallpaper with 10 coats of paint on there, with dripping and holes and all that. And you can see on my finished product that the wall is completely flat as much as possible.
There were no pictures of the before of this work. Is that correct?
It was together the before and we started with the finish.
Okay, so I don't see any pictures of before.
The before or the last pictures.
This is the wall, correct? But we're talking about cabinets. There's no before of the cabinets. Correct? Or is this the before?
Yeah, the before while he was working on it.
Okay. Well, was it before or was while he was working on it?
No, that was before I touched anything in.
This one.
Oh. That
Yes,
one.
I take those out.
That one is. Before I touch the cabinets, yes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So you can see when I touch the wall.
Okay, sounds good.
Ray, during the time that you were working on both of these paint jobs, the exterior paint job and the interior in the kitchen, did you notice if there were tenants in the house who were renting any units?
Every unit was rented except for the kitchen unit. That was not-
Your Honor, to speed things up, my client is not going to sue any candidate for loss of rent, so we don't have to ask anybody about anybody renting. So
Good to know. Thank you. Would they communicate with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They worked with us pretty well until they could see that there was some contention with Mr. Holmes kicking back paint and arguing and so forth. Then they kept themselves pretty much, but in the beginning, they.
do you have an objection? Yeah, I'm going to jump to the hearsay. I didn't even know what who's communicating, talking about. If it's an out of court statement, I don't get the hearsay.
Okay, I want to know why they didn't finish the outside. Let's get straight to that. Why did this work stop? You can answer that. That's a question.
Okay, I didn't know if I had to wait from.
No, you
You
can answer my questions too. No worries.
The reason that we didn't get to the outside is because 4 days before we were walking off the job site, the client came and he was picking with his fingernails, saying that the paint wasn't scraped or sanded, and saying that he could hear dirt and loose paint chips underneath the paint, and was wailing, yelling, screaming, so much to where I had to ask my workers to remove my signs from the front. I told him that if he didn't stop and cease and started talking like grown adults, that we could no longer work underneath these conditions and that we would be leaving them. We were stuck at a standstill for about an hour. And we were trying to, I begged him to just give me 3-4 days without him in my presence and just allow us to do our job. That he hired us for a reason. It was because we were the experts and we knew what we were doing, and that some of the areas that he was addressing, the special primer that I had would seal and bond. And it was impossible to get the job done in a timely fashion when somebody is walking around picking paint with their fingernails, wailing, screaming, yelling, talking about how he talked to us beforehand, all that. I've never had this with any other client. Normally we're in and out. It's a pretty decent job, but he did not allow me to stop. And then he did agree that 4 days prior to the August 31st to give us space, to give us time. And it was 3 days of bliss. We got a lot done. And then he came back. Matthew was painting 2 coats of finishing up the kitchen. I was spraying second coat around the soffit, fascia, and trim. I was finishing up that. I was about 30 minutes from busting out the wall color. And what I do with the wall color is that, let's just say this is the window. I take a spray shield, I put it up to there, and then I spray up to it. And I do that 2 times, wrap around the house. After that, I have guys go and they take a weed roller and a brush and they paint over the blue and do touch-ups. And then we identify areas of the home that look like they could use some extra love. And then we fix that. But he refused, he just refused to let me do it. He kept on taking his fingernail and peeling, making issues. I told him that the paint wasn't adhered right.
Just on the interior of the home though,
This is interior and exterior, but mainly the exterior.
So I don't see any pictures where there was paint on the exterior when you left. Was there paint on the exterior when you left?
Yes. So this picture
Okay,
is it primed, and if you look closely at the trim, the soffit and the fascia, that is a solid white. That is 2 coats of finished trim.
okay,
And you can see the distinction on the wall. That's just primer.
okay. So
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 we did
he was
two-
picking, you saying that area?
He was picking everywhere. Finished trim work, finished primed areas. He would take his fingernail and dig at something until it peeled up.
Okay.
And so then after that, we went inside. We went inside the house. This is after the 3 days of bliss. He came out. I went, when we started our job, we banged out the inside of the kitchen. I walked in, I asked Matt, how quick are you gonna be done with this? Because I really want the client to see this so he can be happy and he can see some finished product. And he told me that he was like 5 minutes from being done. While he did that, I walked around the outside. I had workers trying to address some issues. I said, how does it look? He goes, it looks like you got a lot of work done. I said, thank you. Can I show you the inside? I'm really excited about showing you the inside because there's a huge difference between the painted wallpaper and the flat finished product that I gave him. And he walked in and you could see the cabinets laid up, dry, ready to be put in. And he's like, wow, them look great. I said, thank you. It took a lot of work, a lot of sanding. And we walked inside and he liked the wall, he liked everything. And then he went to that corner and started picking the corner. And then I said, don't touch anything. The wall is still drying. Matthew just painted this 5 minutes ago. And he goes, the wall is not wet. Look, and he takes his hand and he smears it across. And I was like, what are you doing? It's wet. I just told you. It's not wet. See, and he did it again. I said, look at your hand. You got white paint on your hand. And I said, just get out of here. Just let it dry for like 30 minutes. Give it time to dry. We can put some fans in here. And then we started arguing about the corner. I told him that wasn't contracted. I told him where he could get it. And then I said to help him, appease him, I can try to fix it up a little bit, but I cannot work miracles. It's just easier, simpler to go get a fresh corner and put it on there. And then we walked outside and then he started immediately picking and walking around the house, scraping, picking things, rubbing his hand on it. I asked him to quit touching the paint. It was previously painted. He kept on picking at it. And I said, if you scratch and pick at something long enough, sure, it's going to peel up. You are ruining your house. Stop ruining your house. You're putting me off. You're prohibiting me from finishing this job. And he says, how am I doing that? I said, you scraping and picking, if you pick at something long enough, you doing that. Then his father said,
Okay, I'm gonna stop you. You can't tell me what his father said.
okay, well, then.
Okay, yeah, so I've heard enough about the picking, the scraping. Any other questions?
Would you say Mr. Holm was acting on purpose when he was doing that?
When he was
Objection
doing
as a
what?
speculation. To interfere with the work of your paint jobs?
But, well, the objection is that there's speculation. So you're asking him to tell if the other person was acting intentionally, is that what you said?
Yes. Was he doing, did he in any way show
Well,
you?
you're addressing me now, because we're dealing
I'm
with
sorry,
an
I'm sorry,
objection.
yeah.
Okay. How is that not speculation? How can he answer that without speculating?
No, I'll reword the question.
Okay, thank you.
Was this interference that you were describing only occurred on the 27th of August 2021, but you didn't date the other occurrence, the latter. What was the date that happened?
With him touching the kitchen and going around picking, claiming that he could hear loose paint underneath the paint. That all happened August 31. And on August 27th, again, at that standstill, I said, if you keep on stopping us from working, we're gonna have to cease this contract. It's gonna be done. I cannot do it. He agreed to give me time and said he wouldn't act like that no more. I mean, he was yelling, because people were stopping in the streets, people were looking at, it was embarrassing. I kept on telling him, just because you yell something over and over does not make it fact or true. We can talk about this reasonably, but he had no interest in being reasonable.
How long, you said it took an hour on August 31st?
We were at a
2020?
standstill for an hour. For the first time in my life, I had to contemplate walking away from a contract.
How did this end on that day?
We, on the day that. the
August
first time-
31st,
oh,
2021.
On the 31st, he got out a camera and started recording me. I told him that he didn't have the right to record me. I wasn't doing that, and he put it about 6 inches from my face. He knew that, I have PTSD and that I don't like people approaching me, putting things on my face. And he'd been warned several times before, coming up behind me. And I told him to remove the camera. He said he wasn't. And then I said, that's it, we're done. Because he was just being irrational, and he was stopping me. No matter what I did, he was not gonna allow me to finish that job. So we packed up everything, we removed all trash, except for the tape paper on the floor and there may have been plastic over the cabinets, but I was trying to remove myself from a pretty hostile situation. I mean, we had him and his dad surrounding me, swarming me like a beehive, and it just was an unsafe environment.
How much was left for you to finish that exterior paint job?
I could have been done in a day, day and a half, depending on water or rain. Like I said, I was about 30 minutes from applying the wall coat, and that goes by fast. You're gliding by, and we have plenty of, it was set up to be done fast, and efficient and right. And I would say a day, day and a half, and then after that, we would have addressed little by little and spot primed and got all the areas, but he never allowed us to get that far.
Did you tell Mr. Holmes anything while you were leaving?
Yeah, I told him that he had 7 days to pay me, that he was a thief and this is theft, and that he sat here and watched me bust my butt for 3 weeks and perform above and beyond what the contract states, and that he was preventing me from fulfilling the contract. And then we packed up and we left, and I made sure I didn't be disrespectful or anything. I didn't want him to have any. First, I'm a Christian, and I didn't want him to have anything against me. I wanted him to remember how I left that contract, because anybody else would have acted differently, I believe.
Did you hear from Mr. Holmes after you left?
I got a phone call stating that he was looking for a cheaper, better painter, and that he was irate.
Objection, the question was, did you hear from Mr. Holmes? And is this a conversation on foundation, and who did you hear this phone call from? Is this hearsay, or who was this phone call from?
I did not hear from Mr. Holmes. He never
You had the-
contacted me afterwards. I told him he had a week to pay me, and he did not.
What happened next?
After the week was done, I went and I filed small claims with court, trying to do it the cheapest way possible. And then a little bit after I filed that, and I got an outrageous demand slash trying to revise our contract. The contract was not, it was like double what the original contract said. The lawyer was trying to revise our contract. He wanted me to re-scrape everything. He wanted me to put 2 coats of primer instead of 1, even though the original contract said 1 coat of primer. So it would be altogether 3 coats of primer. Then he wanted me, I don't have his contract, his attempt at revising or his demand letter in front of me, but I can go down.
What did I just hand you, Mr. Gray?
I have no objection to this being admitted.
Okay, it's admitted.
This is the attempt to, it's like he's trying to rewrite the contract. It says complete the scraping of the paint.
Well, it's been admitted. We can move on.
Huh?
What happened?
I can understand what this is.
Oh,
It's
okay.
been admitted, so you can move on.
Yeah. What kind of things was the demand asking you to do that was not part of the exterior paint job contract?
Put 2 coats of primer on. Says complete this to the satisfaction of my client. And right lead certification. Test prior to treating. Check the interior building. Use proper plastic safety equipment. Obtain permits and license, which is not legal or needed, doesn't exist. Perform to my client satisfaction, that's impossible. And yep, that's all that was on there. And and he wanted $1,000 per month for loss and rental.
Oh, we don't need to go there.
Oh, okay.
Because knowing you said you had 10 years of experience as a painter.
Yeah.
Knowing the business, how many years have you been with your business?
About 5.
Knowing your business, and you stated there was like 1 day and a half to finish the job. What would you, having that experience, expect?
I'm going to object as to the scope of questioning. He's getting into an expert. This is a lay witness asking. This line of questioning is more of an expert witness testimony. So lay witness.
I think your question is going to be essentially how he determined how much time he was going to need. Is that what you're going to ask him?
No, well, the time that he stated that that he would need to finish the job, what would a comparable business like his take, and also how much would they charge for it?
It's irrelevant anyways. Contract price is contract price. So here's what they would have charged for it. he said he needed another day and a half to finish the work, is what I believe his testimony was, so. Testimony.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Class exam.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Gray, your testimony you gave was under oath, correct?
Yes.
And do you know what that means?
Yes,
It means that everything that you were given was supposed to be truthful.
Yes.
Okay. So let's first take a look at exhibits 3 and 5 are the proposed contracts, right? It's got Fresh Perspective Painting LLC.
Yes.
You just stated under oath that this business has been in business for 5 years. Is that correct?
No, he asked me how long have I been in business. I've been in business for 5 years.
Okay. At the time these contracts were entered, it was Fresh Perspective Painting LLC, a valid and existing LLC.
I messed up and I put painting at the top of the thing, but Fresh Perspective was a business. As in the bottom of the contract, the warranty says Fresh Perspective full warranty, not Fresh Perspective Painting.
May I
So-
approach, Your Honor? And it's exhibits. Defense exhibit A. Mr. Gray, what I'm showing you is a search from Lara. This is Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. And do you see, it says the name of the domestic limited liability company, Fresh Perspective Painting LLC. You see that top?
Yes.
And then it says date of organization in Michigan. Would you agree that that says March 8th, 2022?
Yes.
I'd like to have that admitted into evidence. Objection.
Said objection?
No objection.
No objection. Okay, so moved.
So, true statement in July and August of 2021, Fresh Perspective Painting LLC was not in existence.
Fresh Perspective Paint or Fresh Perspective LLC was.
The question was Fresh Perspective Painting LLC was not in existence.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Now, let's look at these. Let's look at Exhibit 3. You've testified, and actually Exhibit 7 and Exhibit 3. Let's look at these together. You testified that there was many false statements in this September 2nd, 2021 demand letter that was sent to you.
No, I said that there was many added things to the contract.
Added things to the contract. Okay. You said 2 coats of primer. If we look at Exhibit 3, this is for the exterior paint, correct? Could you read what just for the record, Exhibit 3, Mr. Gray, this is your handwriting, correct?
Correct.
And this is your contract that you created.
Yes.
And can you read what the quote includes?
2 colors, straight paint, caught as in prime. There should be a comma, but 2 coats, finished color.
So this is your handwriting. You wrote prime 2 coats, correct?
No, I put prime and then 2 coats, finished color.
You said there should be a comma, but there isn't. This is the quote that you wrote up for my client.
He knew what I said.
And previously, your testimony was that the contract provided to scrape loose paint. Where on here does it say scrape loose paint?
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say all paint either.
You're supposed to scrape the paint.
Yeah.
And when you do a job, you paint it to the satisfaction of your customer. Is that correct?
Paint it to the satisfaction of what's perceived to be a good job.
I noticed at the bottom of this contract, in both contracts, exhibits 3 and 5, there is a warranty. You said you will warrant the workmanship for 1 year. Is that correct?
Yes, when the client allows me to finish.
So if somebody has a issue with what you've done for a period of 1 year, you're warranting, you will come back and fix it.
Yes.
In this matter, in this instance, isn't it true that on August 31st, you walked off the job?
I was chased off the job.
You were also provided a letter on September 2nd to come finish the job that you walked off on. Is that correct?
No, I did not receive that on September 2nd. That may have been when it was typed. I did not receive that on September 2nd.
You received exhibit 7, correct?
Absolutely.
So you received this exhibit.
Yeah.
And you never picked up the phone to call and discuss this matter with me?
No, my
You-
contract won't do.
And you never reached out to fix any of your work?
It was impossible.
So yes or no question, you never reached out to fix any of your work?
No,
You just filed a small claims case seeking $6,500.
yes,
There's another thing that I want to talk about. Exhibit 3, this is the contract for the exterior paint, correct?
yes,
$16,840, correct, to paint it? Is that a lot of money?
yeah,
You mentioned, and if you keep looking what the quote includes, it says, third line down, white and color match blue, exterior windows only. So you were to do all the exterior windows, is that correct?
yes,
Okay. This quote was never amended, is that correct?
wasn't changed.
This quote was never changed, okay. There was never an agreement to charge Mr. Holmes any money in addition to what the contract states, is that correct?
No. No, there wasn't any talk. I told him that it was gonna take me longer to remove all of the storm windows and to do all the extra stuff that he was adding.
But there was no discussion about, and no extra money that was allegedly charged to take care of the exterior windows, correct? Because that was included in the contract, exterior
It was-
windows.
Was not included.
Well,
Does not say storm windows removed. It says exterior window only, not the inner part of the window.
but there was no discussion regarding the receiving any additional money for these removal of these storm windows, correct?
No,
I think, let me get some clarification. When it says exterior window only, so you're saying that you had to remove the windows in order to do the exterior?
I didn't have to. I didn't want to. He wanted it done as a freebie because he wanted the inner part of the window primed and sealed before another winter affected it.
Okay.
And he later on wanted me to reglaze all of the windows and work on the interior part. But I told him there's no way that I could perform that task.
Okay, but you
and
did,
keep
but you
my
gave
other
him a
clients
freebie
happy.
though.
Huh?
But so you gave him a freebie then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Exhibit 5. Mr. Gray, this is for the interior of the home, correct? And again, there is a warranty at the bottom that you guarantee, that you're warranting your work. And this included the whole contract, correct?
Yep.
So there was nothing in addition that the defendant agreed to pay for. There was no additional cost, correct?
No, there was additional work asked.
Additional work asked, was there ever agreement where my client said he would agree to pay any additional costs?
No,
Okay. And I'm looking at these exhibits, so I want to go to, I believe it is exhibit 4. Exhibit 4 is a packet of what the house. Exterior. Exhibit 2, you have, sorry, exhibit 2, so this is the exterior of the house, correct? This is before you did anything. So it's got this, I'm looking at page 1, it's got nice blue color, it's got white painted on the outside, and the door is yellow, correct?
yes, it has faded blue, yellow, and renewed to be white paint, yes.
So exhibit 4, this is what property looked like before you did it.
Yep.
And then exhibit.
Wait.
I mean, sorry, exhibit 2, sorry, my apologies. Exhibit 2 is what the property looked like before you did any work.
Yes.
Exhibit 4 is the exterior, how you left it. Is that correct? I got exhibit 4, I think it's page 2. And there's,
Yes.
This isn't finished paint. This is just, this is one coat of primer. Is that right?
And 2 coats of finished trim on the soffit fascia, wing letters, and around the trim of the windows.
This is finished. This white part is finished, you're telling me? This is how he wanted his house to look?
No, that is primed wall, but
So,
around the trim around the windows, the mid board, the soffit, the fascia, the gutters, and the trim around all the windows is pure white, not faded, jaded, or whatever, like the moon wall.
so it's not finished. And then exhibit 4, page 3, do you have this too?
Yes,
So you took actually a picture and I'm looking at it. Is there's no primer there, is that correct?
right.
And that's how you left the house. That's one picture how you left the house.
That is. Let's see. No, that's not how I left the house. No, this, the third page on that would show that wall accurately on how I left the house. That was his problems prior, and we
It's great.
removed it.
Mr. Gray, what picture is this? What page is this picture right here? This is in your packet.
Right, it's the third one.
Third page.
Yep,
Okay.
on the fourth page,
So
it
this
shows
is-
it finished. All that is not,
This is what you're showing. It looks like picture 3 is a close-up. Picture 4, there's I can't see
it was
that.
gearing work. That wasn't the last day though.
Well, any of that, you removed your sign from the yard when you left on August 31st, right?
No, I removed it the 27th when
Are you satisfied of the work that you did and left it in this condition?
Oh, absolutely not. I would have loved to do a better job.
So
if I was
you,
allowed.
so you just admitted that you left this job and you were not satisfied with what you did. That's correct.
Right? I would have loved
And-
to finish it.
And you were given a letter, exhibit 7, to come back and to finish the work. And you refused, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and are you, this is it's painting an exterior of a house. This looks like it's a 2-story. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Is this something that,
Yeah, yes.
is that a yes? Is that something that a any day lay person should be able to do, or you hire somebody to paint that?
I mean, you want me to speculate?
In order for my client
I would
to,
hire a professional, yes.
okay, so you walked off the job knowing that my client would have to pay somebody else to finish it.
I have a question while you're in your next question, because I want to go back to exhibit 4, the third page, where he shows those areas. It appears on this railing here that the pieces of,
Yeah, we picked them up afterwards.
How-
That's just a picture of me showing that I fixed the address issues.
you mean, so like, this looks like the materials from off the side of the house is here.
Yeah,
So why was that happening, you know? This was after you had primed the house, right?
the first time. And then if you look at the second or the next photo, you will see in that same corner, closest to your thumb.
I can't see, oh, right here?
Yeah, closest to your thumb, that whole wall, that's that same wall.
Oh, that's the same
And
wall.
that's after it was fixed.
Okay, so the first,
Yeah, so that's what he's seen. and
So-
we took it off.
so what I want to know is, okay, so you say you primed, you scraped and then you primed and then stuff fell off?
No, we scraped and then he seen more issues that he wanted taken off. So we took those pieces off. And then we re-primed it afterwards.
Okay, because this looks like it has like the brown, whatever that's there. How did you just take those pieces off? Were they already
No.
falling off?
No, that's just the paint, the paint. Once you remove the paint, then sometimes it exposes the wall wood. Sometimes it only exposes the top layer of paint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the pieces here that are on top of the What's this part of the gutter? What is this? I'm talking about those pieces have brown on it.
Yeah, that's just the color of the backside of the paint, previous painted. I don't know how many years old it is. It could have been painted brown first.
Okay,
So,
so what was being removed or fell off, whatever, picked off, was loose pieces of paint from older paint jobs, is what you're saying?
yes,
Okay,
he was seeing things that wasn't there, so we, in attempt to
well, it was
satisfy.
there. What you seen, it wasn't there? He picked that off, right?
No, we scraped that off.
Oh, so this got down there because you scraped it off?
Yes.
Okay, you scraped it off at his request because he,
Yes.
okay, so,
And you see the green piece of the tape?
yes,
Them are areas where I marked it and I told my workers to give it more attention.
and that was at his request?
Yes.
Okay,
And then we primed it after that again. And the next picture it shows where it's fully white.
okay, thank you, the information.
Mr. Gray, are you talking about exhibit 4? I think it's page 4 we were just discussing. You're saying that this is a finished product?
You have to show me the picture.
Exhibit 4, that's the page 4 that you have in here. I think it's the one right after we were just discussing the missing primer.
This would be when I was forced to walk off, but the trim and soffit and fascia has finished trim paint on it. The wall has one coat primer. We left that little blue area cubby hole by Mr. Holmes's personal apartment. We left that because we were leaving it up to him to choose if he wanted it to be white or blue. We didn't know.
Mr. Gray, exhibit 4, page 4. I want to make sure we're on this one. This is how you left it walked off. I'm looking at the farthest window to the right in the first window, upper second story. I'm seeing black around those windows. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing white.
Right. Well, first, because it wasn't contracted. Second, because it was August and that person has an air conditioner in there. So we were allowing that tenant to have the only air. And then after we were done, we were going to prime that white, the inner part of the window, to make it look like the rest.
Mr. Gray, exhibit 3 is the exterior quote, correct, which you prepared?
Yeah.
And it says exterior windows only.
Right.
That's an exterior window.
No, it's not. When the bid was written out, that window had a storm covering.
Both of them?
All of them, yep. That's what that whole stack in this exhibit is all the windows taken.
Why'd you paint the middle one if all of them have? Your contract provides their exterior windows.
Right.
That's an
I painted
exterior
them
window,
because
correct?
he asked me to paint the inside of it, so it would withhold another winter.
Is this an exterior window? I'm circling the second exhibit 4, the very
trim
first.
around it is the exterior part. All the black in the inside is the inner part of the window. You have storms, you have screens, you have all that. You don't. There's different layers to the windows.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Gray, was there a way you told Mr. Holm you would come back to finish?
Yes, if you could stay out of my way and be reasonable and let us do our jobs, we would come back and finish.
Did you already prime the exterior part of the house?
Yes, I did.
So with exhibit 7, when the demand letter asks you to prime, would that be extra of what your contract of the exterior contract was asking
I'm
for.
gonna object as the one question, the contract speaks for itself. Testified, and it's already been asked and answered.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. I do have a question though. As to your last question, which was his agreement to return to finish. When did he make the agreement to return to finish under those circumstances? Was that before or after he received this demand letter?
Before,
Okay, so it was after August 31st?
no, it was August 31st.
Okay, so you walked off on August 31st,
Yes,
and then you agreed to come back on August 31st?
no, no.
Well, when did you agree to come back under those
I
circumstances?
told him that I would come back if he could allow me to work without interfering
I recognize that's what you said. When did you say it?
on August 31st.
The day you left?
Yes,
After you left or before you left?
before I got into my vehicle, when I was still standing on the property.
Oh, thank you.
Further questions?
Okay. That's all you have?
I have another witness unless you.
Okay, you can be excused from the stand, sir. You can go back next to your attorney. You can call your next witness.
Call Mr. Matthew Kittleson.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You can have a seat, sir. Okay, same rules apply. Your responses are gonna need to be verbal. If there is an objection, you'll stop responding so that I can make a ruling on the objection. And then state your first and last name and spell them both.
Yes, I'm listening. My name is Matthew Kittleson, MATTHEW KITTLESON.
You can proceed, Councilman.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Kittleson. Have you ever been an employee of Mr. Gray's business, Fresh Perspective LLC? Did you work with Mr. Gray on a painting job located in the house address 209 Kilbourne Street in Lansing in August of last year?
Yes.
Were you aware? No, we're not going to deal with the rent issue. Did you ever get a chance to see the owner of the house, Mr. Holmes, while you were working at his house?
Yes, I'm local.
Did you ever notice any interference by Mr. Holmes while you were working on you or any other worker?
Yeah, on multiple occasions, he came up to me and all the other workers talking to us. He also go up to the crime spaces and pick up things, pick up stuff, interfering with our work, verbally and physically with his fingernails.
So not only did he interfere with your work, he interfered with other workers' work?
Yes, that's correct.
And you said that happened multiple times?
Oh, yeah.
Can you say how many?
Not exactly dozens, but I can't say exactly.
Did Mr. Holmes' actions when he was interfering make you feel uncomfortable to work there?
Sometimes, yes, especially the instance where we did have a standstill for an hour or so, maybe more, where we eventually came to an understanding, but yeah.
I have no further questions.
Council Sam?
Yeah, real briefly, Your Honor. Do you recall the date this project started? I believe it was August 3rd. And the last day was August 31st, is that correct? I believe so. Is that extremely long period of time to finish an exterior paint job?
Well, when we started, we did give them that we were gonna be on vacation a couple days. I think it was that Wednesday to the following Sunday. We don't work on Saturdays. And fair weather. We couldn't work a couple days because of that. But with him impeding our work, that's just how long it took.
Were you working other paint jobs at the same time? Was, to your knowledge, was Jason Grady or his company working other jobs?
No.
You said in your testimony that you guys came to a standstill, but that issue then was resolved. Is that correct?
They came to an understanding is what I believe, but not after we had a standstill for over an hour.
Are you aware that no further questions?
Okay, any redirect?
Yes. On August 31st, 2021, were you working at the job at that date?
Yes, before we left it.
What do you recall of what happened on that day?
So August 31st, I worked largely on the inside of the house, on that kitchen that we had used the second, when we got the second contract for the kitchen. So I was in there a lot of the time for that day, painting and sanding and doing different things inside the kitchen.
Did you notice Mr. Holmes interfering with your work you were doing in the kitchen?
Yeah, like previously stated, not 5 minutes after I had finished the interior of that kitchen, Mr. Holmes was putting his hands on the walls, saying that it was either dry or hadn't been painted yet. He physically touched the wall. We told him, "Look in your hand." He had paint on his hand. You can see the handprint up there. So yeah, he was, and like previously stated, he was picking at the corners. We tried to fix it best we can, but we told him that we can't work miracles and that we need to.
You stated Mr. Holmes interfered multiple times. Was August the 31st, 2021 the worst that you saw?
Probably it caused us to have to walk off the job site because it was an unsafe environment for us.
Okay, you may be excused, sir. Any additional witnesses? Okay. Will you present any evidence today?
Yes, Your Honor. And then it calls.
We're gonna take a recess. Been sitting here for longer than 2 hours, so we gotta take a break. And I'm only gonna take a 10-minute break right now, and then you can call your first witness.
Only one step. So.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we're back on the record. And Mr. Coogan, we're gonna call your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant calls Mr. James Holmes.
You raise your right hand first. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, you can have a seat. And you've heard the rules a couple of times, so make sure your responses are verbal, and then make sure you stop if there's an objection, so I can rule on it, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. You can proceed.
You say your full name for the record?
James Holmes,
Okay. And where do you reside?
209 West Gilbourne Street, North Michigan, 4906.
Try and make this quick, speed it up. Are there still exhibits in front of you from?
No.
No, they're not.
You want these?
You have to refer to, it's already admitted.
Yeah.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibits and admitted previously, exhibits 3 and 5. The plaintiff's exhibit. Are you familiar with those with those exhibits?
Yes, I am.
And are those the contracts for the paint job for your house?
Yes, they are.
This should be plaintiff's exhibit 3 is the contract dated July 29, 2021. Is that correct? You can,
Yes.
you can pick up the exhibits too. You don't have to leave them there. And what is your understanding of what this contract consists of?
They were going to fully scrape the house off and then prime and 2 coats, and then finish color was going to be different colors. The main body of the house will be blue, and the rest of the house, all the trims will be white.
And this contract was for $16,840. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that a lot of money for you?
Yes.
And is that a true statement that at the bottom it says paid $8,920? Did you pay that to Mr. Gray?
Yes, I did.
Did James Holmes, did Jason Gray and or his Fresh Perspective Painting LLC perform pursuant to this contract?
No, they did not.
Could you please explain to the court what the plaintiff did not do to perform the contract?
I asked for a deep scrape, and he said it would be easy for him to get these reciprocating sander things with pads, and they proceeded to use those, which didn't really remove flakes of paint, but it took the edges off. And
So they didn't remove what?
The large flakes of paint, it would kind of take the edge off, but the flake would still be there. He said I didn't have to use my fingernail or anything, I just pop it off. And it also caused a lot of damage to some of the shingles or older shingles, and broke a lot of those, primarily on the west side upper story where they were like older, more exposed to the weather, and also sanded, rounded off a lot of corners on some of the windowsills on the exterior. We had like random kids show up and work for him for a day or so, and if they showed up at all. And there's a lot of just not actually straight surfaces, while there's a lot of other stuff being easily sanded that just made a mess of stuff. That it's kind of how he left me. At the end of the first week, there was a storm coming. They put some primer paint on, and we went on vacation. And then they didn't come back. I called him on Thursday because nobody showed up. They said they'd be there on Monday. And or I called him on Wednesday, so they be there Thursday. I called him again as I went to work. Sounds like a shifter, and he said they'd be there. And I guess, as I understand, Matt showed up to start working on the kitchen. And I didn't talk to him again for at least a week. And then I addressed the first wall they did. Most of the pictures he gave you of all the people there were all in the first 2 days of work. And we'd actually talked initially about both contracts at the same time. We didn't start the second contract till later because we started to exterior the house first. And I thought it was going to progress pretty well, but then they just stopped showing up. And he told me he was taking some low ball offers that took more time than he expected. And he told me I could talk to his son or Matt or himself at any time. And I addressed Matt twice. I never saw his son after the first day. And anytime I talked to Jason, he got very combative. He kept saying, I'm a professional and you're questioning me. And I just kept asking for clarification on what he was doing in the moment, because when he primed stuff, he said it was finished paintwork, and he was gonna use specialty primer to hold the flakes paint down. He said it would wick up underneath the paint, and we weren't using any of that. He told me it was finished paintwork, and the paint would just flake off.
Okay, did any of these pictures show what you're talking about when you said the paint flaked off?
A lot of the pictures he has there showed where they'd already primed, and then it kept flaking off, and he would get mad anytime I would show him, and that's one of the reasons I brought my camera out the last day. I don't know that the video got put into evidence, but after we were inside and he slapped the corner behind the stove in the picture where the pink is on, that actually done the day he left. That's a pink white drying spackle, so it'll dry pure white. When they scraped across that, they broke the corner, and I just wanted the corner square. It's not a structural corner, so I needed to have any kind of a bead. But they were priming, and they said they were ready to do the finished coat. As far as I know, there's no finished paint in there except possibly on the cabinet frame. And they said they were going to paint the next day. They were just finishing the primer, and I wanted to make sure that corner didn't get left all rough. And he got mad and then pointed out and said that he had the cabinet doors done, which weren't finished. The inside on several of them weren't fully painted, and they also didn't clean them before they painted them, so it looked like kind of like cottage cheese underneath some of the panels. And he got mad, so I asked him to record when we went outside because he wanted to talk about the outside. And that's when I recorded outside with my dad present. And
You wanted to record because of, you thought that was for what purpose?
I just wanted to make sure, I said, I want to be on the same page because there's actually a lot of miscommunication. Can I record this? And he said, sure. And I recorded him scratching the paint in one spot. And after I showed him where it was flaking loose on the sills, and the sills are what I wanted the most attention. If you look at the pictures he's got there, a lot of the sills, they kept re-scraping because they never scraped in the first place. The right above the foundation, the flat, like was a windowsill. And that was my biggest concern because I didn't want water intrusion causing any rot on the house. It's a 100-some-year-old house. So I only addressed Matt twice. I never talked to his son, and every other time I talked to anybody was Jason. He actually had employees that were, well, one guy in front of the house threatened enough that my dad offered to call the police on him. And that was just because I kept pointing at the paint that was flaking loose, and he got mad because they're professionals and I shouldn't be questioning them.
This is the paint on the exterior of the house? Yes.
We only had one discussion on the interior, and that was when the wall and he kept saying the paint was wet. I'm like, I'm not looking at wet paint, I'm looking at the broken corner. And that's when he slapped the wall and smeared it and hollered that it was wet paint. I need to let it cure first before I can complain. And it was just the broken corner, which you can see where he actually mudded all the way down the corner where they broke the corner. Where in the picture where he said it was original, where it has the wallpaper, the corner's perfect. You see the wallpaper's all.
I may, Your Honor, are you referring to Exhibit 6?
Possibly.
And we're talking about the interior of the house.
Yeah,
what was
the
done
interior. This is where the big arguments actually happened. Was that picture? You see all the paint? That's actually, it dries white. It's that gap mud.
You can see what he's
You
showing.
see the paint?
You want to show him what you're.
This picture.
Okay.
Okay. You're talking about the paint on the wall?
Well, that's not paint. That's
Oh, you
actually
mean this,
like mud
this,
spats
this
on the corner.
pinkish color?
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
dry white, pure white.
Okay,
And that's the day he walked off. That's how the picture was left. With
okay, so the day you walked off, the disagreement took place over the wall?
that's where the actual like disagreement, because I got pointing at that like this is not how it started, and it's supposed to be smooth. This is right in the contract. It's supposed to be smooth. And he told me, well, I could go down and get it and fix it myself. As he told you, he told me to go to the hardware store and get a corner bead and do it myself. And that's all he needed to do was mud it. And he asked me about satisfactory. I told him yes. At that point, I said, hey, can I record outside when we go outside?
Okay, what was the problem? What wasn't smooth?
See where the pink is at?
Yep.
That was all broken up where they went across, they broke the corner of the plaster when they were scraping the wall.
Okay, so then they put the pink and you didn't find that.
And I
to
was
be
fine
smooth.
with that.
Okay,
But before he did this, he got very aggressive and mad at me, telling me that it wasn't their problem. I could go to the hardware store and get a corner bead and do it myself. But they told me that they were going to do finish paint that day or the next day after the primer finished drying. And this is the day that they actually walked off the job. I didn't, the stove's something, so it's not a structural corner with a doorway where you want to have a bead. I just wanted it to be square, not have holes broken in it.
okay, and I can see where where this pink, it looks like it's like, is that putty or something?
Yep, it's the putty stuff. It's pink when it goes on and it dries white, so you can see where it's at.
And do they sand that after it dries? Okay, so this is before they could dry it?
Yeah.
I mean,
The
before they
paint, the
could
paint on
sand
the
it?
wall is still wet. You put the putty on there and then we walked outside and shortly after that you walk up the job.
But the putty was put because you complained, is that what you're saying? Yes, yeah, you have to say it so she can
Yes.
record it, okay. But your testimony is that after you complained, he was already upset.
Very upset.
Okay.
And that's when I showed him, like, I readdressed the cabinet doors because they weren't done and he was right before this, so he was already upset. And then we walked outside.
Okay. And prior to this, you had already had some issues with the outside? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You can continue.
And Mr. Holmes, exhibit 5 is in front of you, and that is the quote for the interior, is that correct? Like it's exhibit 5.
Yes.
And you just testified that the quote, that the contract provides for him to clean and flatten the walls, is that correct?
Yes.
And if you read the first, you read what the quote includes?
I will remove one wall removal wallpaper, cleaned up flat as possible, sand down cabinets, appliance, removes hardware, walls matte white, not inside stone window.
And you paid half down for that, is that correct?
That is correct.
Is there any, aside from what you just testified, is there anything else that the plaintiff did not do pursuant to this quote?
On the interior.
On the interior.
No.
For both the interior and exterior, did you pay to have somebody else do that work?
Yes.
Do you recall the exterior, what the quote was to paint the exterior?
18,000 something. I don't remember the.
I can approach, this is marked as kind of out of turn, but defendant's exhibit G. Will you please review defendant's exhibit G?
Power wash, prep, repaint, exterior of two-story home, all 2 coats, Sherwin bridge flat. They power wash, they had to repair a lot of the siding that got damaged by those oscillating sanding things. They do a lot of prep, so they extensive prep, scrape, caulk, sanding, and spot priming. There's been no caulking done on the exterior of any joints of corners or anything.
Mr. Holmes, do you recognize defendant's exhibit G?
Yes.
Could you please describe to the court what that is?
That is a contract that I had with Blue Sky Painting for getting the house fully painted.
The exterior of the house?
Yes, exterior of the house.
And was this after the plaintiff walked off the job?
Yes.
May I introduce exhibit G into evidence?
Objection. I don't understand when this contract was entered or this bid. It has a date.
You said it has no date?
It has a date that's before plaintiff started working on the job. So a little more clarity when this bid was issued.
Okay.
In April this year.
We'll let his attorney question him.
I'll question it, okay. Mr. Holmes, did you prepare this contract exhibit G? Did you prepare defendant's exhibit G?
No.
Okay, if you look, there's a little cloud thing. It says date April 8th, 21. Did you put that date in?
Oh, no.
Do you think that the 21 was a mistake by the contract?
Yeah, that was a typo.
And when was this contract entered?
April 8th.
Of what year?
This year.
2022.
No objections.
So, Mr. Holmes, after it's true, on August 31st, you informed the plaintiff that you would not interfere with his work if they came back and finished that.
That is correct.
Isn't also true, I believe it's plaintiff's exhibit 7 on September 2nd, 2021. You had your attorney prepare a letter to have them come back and do the work. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did the plaintiff come back and do the work?
They did not.
So you contracted with Blue Sky Paintings to finish the work. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you had to pay Blue Sky Paintings $18,500 for the exterior work.
That is correct.
Can you please go over for the exterior work that the plaintiff did they damage any of the exterior of your house?
Significantly.
Can you please explain to the court what was damaged?
They broke a lot of the shingles and they primarily it was just broken shingles. They didn't do additional damage. They just the mess they left that I had to clean up. I had to pay how somebody helped me come take the tape and paint or tape and paper stuff off the windows.
Did you benefit in any way from the plaintiff doing any work to the exterior of your house?
No.
And can you please go over defendant's exhibit G? There's itemized estimate and paragraph item 4. Can you read what the court that says? The numbered 4 on exhibit G.
Oh, exterior repaint of all painted surfaces. That was because the primer was very thin. In his examples, they actually had pictures. One said it was a finished paint job on the wall. You could see where the ladders were at, the windows weren't done.
And
you
then
can see right through the primer paint on that.
Well,
It's not in this one.
you're referring to plaintiff's exhibit 4, and I think if I can show up, it's page 4. I can may approach your honor.
Oh, you may.
Show the court until the plaintiff's counsel knows what you're referring to. Okay, you could please show the judge.
Across the top, there's a lot of missing paint where wire filling and the windows, and you can see on the side where the ladders were at, where they didn't even halfway paint it. You still see the blue through the primer. And he told you that was his finish that he walked off with, and that was the first side they did. The whole house kind of looked like that. You can see the bay over beyond the stairs. You can see there's still blue shining through there, and you can see the bare widow window frame, like the one that faces the house on the left hand side.
So
there's basically nothing done. It's left to the winner.
And defendant's exhibit G, the blue sky painting, quote, is it true in paragraph 3 they had to do prep, scraping, caulking, sanding, priming?
Yes.
And that was included in the $18,500 quote?
Yes.
You heard Mr. Gray testify that he was 99% done with the interior of the painting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that a true statement?
That is not true.
Okay. Did the plaintiff cause damage to the interior of the house?
They did.
You said they did?
Yes.
Describe the damage to the interior house that the plaintiff caused.
They scraped the floor in the living room, and they had paint on the floor. That's why I got them to, he actually had me go purchase that brown roll of paper. I helped them take the floor. They were using that, instead of using the garage as storage space, I gave them the key to the garage. They were using the living room as storage space. And I didn't ask for repairs or anything on that or anything. I just said, you have to protect this floor.
And is it true that you contracted with another company to paint the interior of the house, the kitchen, and correct the damage to the defendant that the plaintiff caused?
Yes.
Do you recall the company who you contracted with?
The same thing with Blue Sky Painting.
May I approach your honor? We'll show it's marked as defendant's exhibit H. Could you please review? Do you recognize defendant's exhibit H?
Yes, I do.
Will you please describe to the court what defendant's exhibit H is?
Contract to correct and repair and finish sanding and painting the kitchen of 931, which was the interior paint job that I contracted previously with Jason Rick.
And when did you contract with Blue Sky Painting to do this work?
In November.
Of what year?
2021.
I'd like to introduce defendant's exhibit H into evidence. No objection.
And Mr. Holmes, what was the contract price that you had to pay Blue Sky Painting to do the interior painting job, which plaintiff was supposed to do?
2,400.
Um, and did Blue Sky Painting have the correct mistakes and damage done by plaintiff?
Significant. They hadn't taped off some of the doors, the door frame, the floor properly, the dishwasher, and I wasn't sure how not to damage the dishwasher, so they said they had chemical in the process to help remove that paint since it was basically just primer, and they were great.
Okay. And is this included in the itemized estimate? The
Yes, it
Exhibit
is.
H? Are you asking for the court to award you the return of the deposit that you paid plaintiff?
Yes.
So that would be the $1,100 from the interior paint.
Yes.
And then I believe it was $8,920 from the exterior paint.
Yes, that is correct.
Are you also asking the court to award you the difference in the contract price between the two?
No.
Okay. So you want your total deposit back is what you want, a total amount is $10,020, what you paid the plaintiff?
Yes.
I have nothing further, John.
I just need some clarification. What's 931 Capitol Ave?
That was the address, that's the primary address of the property according to the city. It's a three unit property. I live in one.
Okay,
My address is 209, but the lot according to the city,
this on the corner? Oh, so,
Capitol and Woodland.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. 933 was when we were working in the kitchen. The whole house was the exterior paint job.
Okay, I just was wondering why one quote said 209 Kelborn. I thought that's what we were talking about.
Yes.
But then this one said 931. So it's a corner property with two addresses, is what you're
It's
saying?
three addresses.
Three
Two on
addresses.
Capitol and one on Kilbourne.
Got it.
But the primary city lot, I guess, is listed under 931 North Capitol. So something's default for that.
Oh, sounds good.
I learned that myself recently.
Sounds good. Cross exam.
Yes, and thank you. Mr. Holmes, in the July 29, 2021 contract, did you ask plaintiff to do sanding?
No.
No?
I had never asked anybody to do sanding.
But,
I just wanted to scrape.
but he did sanding on his own.
Jason?
Yeah,
Or-
Jason, yeah, excuse me,
Yes.
plaintiff, he did
told
that
me
on
it
his
was- It
own.
would be easier to use these Osland and leads disc things, and I said that was okay, and then I didn't realize it caused so much damage, so he didn't say it would cause extra damage.
So, how many days do you observe him doing that?
Objection as to relevance?
What's the relevance?
To see if he was satisfied with what he was doing to continue on.
Don't respond, 'cause I'm trying to figure out. What was your question?
How many
many
days
days?
did he observe Miss Plaintiff doing the sand?
Which is not in the contract, and I asked objection relevance.
I'll allow it.
He's
You can
talking
answer.
about damage to the shingles. I mean,
You
to
can-
the
you can
siding.
respond.
Okay.
I wasn't there the entire time they were, but I was at work most of the time, but I saw them doing it several different days. And I did address it once. That was one of the things he said they be more careful. And I just tried not to argue with them because I just needed it done really bad. Once they started, they had so much raw wood showing. I just really needed it put together no matter what the job looked like.
You mentioned, thank you. You mentioned that the two contracts were contemplated at the beginning. The two contracts, exterior, interior work, paint jobs were contemplated in the beginning, but they weren't
We didn't enter into the second contract
until
the
later,
second week.
correct?
Yes. that's
Um,
correct.
So did you observe any of the sanding occurring right away on the property of the exterior?
They did it on the face of the house. It didn't have the shingles were slightly different material, but they did it on the face of the house a little bit. Mostly it was just scraping the first couple of days, and they didn't really show up for a couple of days after that. And then they had a vacation that weekend, and the day after vacation, or somewhere around then, so when we finally had it hammered out, he brought the contract over, we signed that. But in the first weeks, there wasn't significant damage. It was when they got around the west side of the house, second story, and then they started doing window sills really heavily, where a lot of the the damage.
You mentioned on August 31st, 2021, that you asked for permission to record video. I don't know, was it with your phone?
Yes,
And you said that you did receive permission from plaintiff,
yes.
Mr. Jason Gray.
Before we get to the house, I asked for permission. Or as we exit the house, I asked for permission.
What was the reason you needed to do video recording?
He got really combative when I pointed out the doors weren't done. Two of the doors aren't even painted on the backside. They weren't even fully primed. You could see the one had, you see the paint through it. And two of them obviously hadn't been cleaned before they been painted. They spray painted his house and it was like cottage cheese underneath the paneling and you pick it off with your finger. It came right off. Like it was just in the corners. Obviously not finished, and he kept bragging about how much time he spent on those cabinet doors, what took him so long. That's why he wasn't there for weeks at a time, because it took him 2 weeks just to keep the doors, and they weren't done. And before we went in the kitchen, when we went in the kitchen, it was basically an argument. He kept pointing at the corner, and you kept saying, "It's wet paint." I'm like, "This isn't wet paint. This is a broken corner. I need this smooth." You said you make this smooth, and he said, "It's wet. Wait till it dries. It's running." I'm like, "It's not running." And I put my fingernail up there and lifted the edge of the paint to show him that there was a hunk of stuff missing there. And at that point, he smacked the wall and smeared it and said, it's fucking wet." And yeah, that's the first time I ever heard him swear. He did not swear at me, but he was really mad. So as we left the house, he said, "Hey, like, so we're on the same page, good communication. Like, we're obviously, but I don't remember how he worded it, but basically it was like, I would like to record the outside, so we're on the same page. So if I have questions later, we can just readdress this." And he said, "Sure." And that's why I pulled my phone out. And I didn't pull my phone out until we were around the corner. And he asked where else I had questions, because we started at the front corner of the house where the meters are and walked around and went inside because we wanted to see something pretty. And then we went around the back side of the house next to the big window, and that's where he told me they'd finished painting, and there was a lot of missing paint, a lot of paint sticking up, and stuff that was obviously not even scraped yet. And that's where he got angry about me and my fingernails. So I started recording and showing there's no fingernail here. I just like knocking this paint off with a fingernail. And that's when he turned to my dad and started suing my dad. And then he said he was done with me. He was gonna walk out of the job. Then he came back and offered if I left him alone to finish the job. And I said, "Are you gonna address all these things?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "As long as this gets addressed, I just need this done." At that point, he said, "I'm done with you," and walked away. Totally ready to pack things up and left.
So the reason you were video recording with permission from, as you say, from Mr. Gray, was so that you could show him the things that you wanted to fix. Is that accurate, what you were saying?
He kept forgetting to be addressed things. He was too busy. He was doing all these other jobs. He had other jobs he picked up too that were lowball jobs, so he could, keep his people fed while he was working on my job. So he would forget what we talked about.
Is that the first time you videotaped?
The first time,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Okay. How would Mr. Gray, when you videotape, see your video recording?
We never actually reconvened because he left. He never came back.
So you were thinking of showing to him sometime after that date?
I was gonna leave him alone and let him finish the job and have that recorded, be like, "Did you address this or not?" That way I can show him, so it would be an argument. Because it was always an argument. Anytime I try to show him something, he would forget about it. They wouldn't address it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. And then he told me everything was done. They were gonna start finished painting. There's no finished paint on the house when we left. It was all primer.
You did mention when you were answering my prior questions that you put your fingernail in the interior wall of the kitchen. Of the
I
room.
showed him with my fingernail where the edge was, where I was looking at. He's saying I picked it. I didn't pick that spot. I showed him where it was. So you can see how much mud you had to put on there to cover up the stuff they broke loose. And in their picture from before they started, that corner is perfect.
And it's your testimony that you didn't touch the wall. It was
I
Mr.
did
Gray
not touch that wall.
that
Mr. Gray put
smeared
paint
on the
it.
wall with his hand.
Because I was standing basically where this picture is at, and he was standing there looking straight on because there's only one light in the kitchen. We're on each side, so you can really see it. There's the lights above.
And
Where he put his hand on the wall is over here, over by the counter.
did you take any pictures of the condition of the house with broken shingles?
Yes. I don't know that they got put in properly. You can see some of them here on the upper, in his picture. You can see where some of those are broken, where they went across them before they put the primer on.
What picture is this one?
It's the same one I showed you before, picture 4,
Picture
like page 4 and exhibit 4.
Okay.
You see on the far right-hand corner as well, beyond the window. Where the
So that's
grading
that's
primer.
a broken shingle? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, along the edge of that sill, you can see where the shingles aren't full and complete, and over here as well. You can see it's out there where it's right below where there's no primer on the wall. On this corner, you can see the shingles.
Yes.
You said there were a lot of, or
That whole
many
edge
broken
is
shingles.
broken up. Well, you can see there's even one missing right there. They got knocked out, they didn't get painted, but they never came back and refined after they were coming to scrape stuff.
Do you
And they had to
remember?
pull those shingles and replace them.
Do you remember the conversation you had with Mr. Gray prior to leaving your property?
Yes.
Did he in any time mention to you that he would finish what he needed to finish on the contract for a certain condition on your behalf?
No, before he left and got in the truck, he told me if I gave him $3,000, he'd walk away. And I told him I would have to communicate with my lawyer. And he told me I would hear from his lawyer, and he was done with me and got his truck and left. Well, he finished up packing and left. I went in my house and avoided the situation. He had a couple employees I was not comfortable with.
Why did it take you so long to get the painting done on the exterior?
I vetted a few different companies and I wanted a big enough company to do the whole job and knew what they were doing. Blue Sky Clean highly recommended. There were 4 of the houses in my neighborhood that had it done by them. They book out extremely far in advance. That's why it took until this fall to get it done. We contracted in April and it took until we officially signed the contract. I paid half down in April. It took until September to get done. But I wanted a good quality job that I didn't have to worry about.
And the harsh winter could have caused damage to the house?
Yes, I couldn't get anybody in there to do any work on it or to late in the season. Nobody would warranty their work if they did anything that late in the season.
But you were able to fairly soon contract someone to finish the work in the interior?
Yes, that's because they do interior work and they can't do exterior work.
And so on the blue sky painting on defendant exhibit G.
Yes.
Which is dated, as you mentioned correctly, on April 8th, 2021. Why does it say make checks payable to blue sky painting on bottom?
Objection is,
I think that's just.
I'm sorry, wait, there's an objection, so you can't answer.
objection is a speculation.
The question is on which exhibit?
Exhibit
H,
G,
G.
and it's Blue Sky Paintings contract. Question was, do you know why it says make checks payable to Blue Sky Painting?
This is a question.
What's the relevance?
Did you really pay?
They said, that's not a question for you to answer, sir. It says this client paid in full on 9/12/22 though.
Yeah, it says in the middle, but then I looked at the other contract.
On exhibit H.
Yeah, on exhibit H, thank you. It says project start date 12/6/2021. Was it his testimony that he paid that too?
Okay.
So I'm trying to find out, was it paid or not?
So the question is, was exhibit
Was it
H
paid?
Was
Okay,
it
so that's
exhibit G?
So the question is, was exhibit G paid?
Or was there a payment that needed to be
That's a
made?
very different question than why does this say make checks payable? So you can ask them why did he pay it? Yeah.
That's where I was going.
The question is, did you pay the invoice in full on exhibit G?
Yes, I did. I didn't pay.
Did you pay on exhibit H? Did you pay in full $2,400?
I'm sorry, I'm looking. Yes,
When did you pay it?
I don't have that receipt. I apologize.
Is it your testimony that Mr. Gray and Mr. Kittleson testified that you did various times interference while they were working property?
What's the question?
Did you interfere at any time while plaintiff or his workers were working on your?
No, I never asked anybody to stop doing anything other than, I spoke to Matt about the guy that was doing the windowsills, making us stop doing that. He was throwing across and someone rolling down, so causing ripples in the actual windowsill.
Was there any discussion about interference on August the 27th of 2021? Did you interfere with plaintiff or the workers on August 27th?
No, I had a discussion with Jason and several of his workers came out and walked around with us. If they could have an hour standstill, they could usually been working inside or outside around us, but they kept stopping and going out there. And that's when my dad showed up. So it's just like,
This is the 31st we're talking
The
about.
27th.
27th.
yeah, the 20. There were one day we talked, a couple days later, so that would have been 27th. And I didn't stop or ask anybody to stop working. I really knew the job done at that point.
Is it true that you didn't come by for 3 days and then return on August the 31st, 2027?
Previous to that, I was gone for a couple days. I didn't know what to do in Zion, Illinois. And when I came back, he said they were going to keep all the dust in the kitchen. There's no cold air return, so it would be really easy to put a zip wall up. And they were going to be back pressure out the back door just to make sure none of the dust got in the house. They were sanding everything. The inside they were going to sand, and they didn't do any of that. The whole house, upstairs, downstairs, every room had paint dust in it. And that's the only time I was gone for multiple days at a time. But I would be gone for a couple days and come back. And that's part of when I called on after the vacation when they didn't come back. Was I've been gone for the days, I came back and nothing had been done. And he said, oh, they'll be there Thursday. And they weren't. And I called again. They came, sent Matt to start working on the kitchen, but it's been a beautiful week too.
Did you say that the whole exterior property of your house needed to be sanded again
No, we didn't do any sanding. But it didn't
by
we didn't do sand
blue
first.
sky painting?
No, we didn't sand.
What I'm trying to understand is why does it say sanding? Extensive prep sanding on exhibit G.
He just sanded a little of the window because the nap had been lifted on the wood so much from their aggressive pads that they had to sand that a little bit on the wood, actually smooth it out so they could actually paint it properly. That's the only sanding he did. He did not do any, like, I don't remember seeing sanding at all. They just touched up the windows where it was messed up.
But I apologize, I forgot to mention, it says extensive prep throughout. So
Yes.
that's what's confusing. It makes it seem like it's throughout the whole entire exterior of the house.
So the extensive prep was all the scraping and stuff that they had to finish and redo and then clean up. And then they also had to do those windows upstairs and all around that front bay and around the front door frame.
So why would it say spot priming?
They spot primed in some areas and they actually had a spot prime with the same type of stuff that Jason talked about using. It was called Mad Dog from O'Leary. They spot prime with that before they primed the house.
But if they're doing extensive prep throughout, wouldn't it create more than just a spot priming situation?
I'm sorry. You're asking him these questions?
Yeah. Well,
He
he's the
sounds like
one-
questions for blue sky painting.
Yes, but he's the one who's describing the.
If I hire a painter, don't ask me these kinds of questions, because I don't do painting.
But he's talking about his testimony was there needed extensive sanding to be done around the whole property.
That's what their quote said.
Yeah.
I'm positive, I'm just speaking, if we're in a similar situation, I would try to avoid having to repay for this stuff. So if this is what they said they needed to do, then, and you dispute that, then you needed to subpoena blue sky in here.
And he has broken,
You're asking, no, but,
oh, yeah.
yeah, so no, to the question.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I have a question. Couple, actually. I want to go back to this You said there was a picture of the wall before that showed that the corner was not messed up. Which picture is this?
Just the picture of the wallpaper.
Is that the last picture in that exhibit?
Sure.
Yeah, this one, you see there's a ripple in the wallpaper, then below that, it's a perfectly square corner all the way down the wall.
That's the last picture, correct?
And that ripple like above eye level, and you see where all the damage is well below that.
What picture is that?
This is referring to this picture?
That picture?
And so what you're saying is,
They caused the damage, they were filling with ink, and he tried to have an argument with me, telling me that I needed to go to the hardware store and buy like a corner bee or something. And all
so
I
wait,
needed to
this
do was
is
clean
the
it out.
same area?
Yes. The stove goes where the hollow is. That's, you see the end of the cabinet. The stove goes for that, the vacant spot is in front of that wall.
Right
So I was
here.
saying, it's not a.
That's where the
structural-
stove goes?
Yeah, it's not a
Okay.
door frame or anything. All I needed to do was be smooth. I just didn't want holes in it. So mudding it was satisfactory, but I had like, there was a big argument about like.
To get it muddy, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
just to get it muddy.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I remember my next question. You didn't have any more questions?
I.
Okay, redirect.
No, you're all right. Ready for closing.
Okay. You can proceed with your closing arguments. No, I think those are his. I
Yeah,
have
those are
mine.
mine, sorry.
Mr. Chomby.
Thank you, Your Honor. Defendant breached both contracts between him and plaintiff Fresh Perspective. With regards to the August 9, 2021 contract, plaintiff completed that paint job to the contract as Mr. Gray's testimony stated. 99%, basically, he was just needing to take out the tape. And the pictures presented showed that, that he was done with that job. Defendant has yet to pay the remaining $1,100. With regards to the initial July 29 contract between plaintiff and defendant, Michigan case law is very clear that a party to a contract cannot do some affirmative willful act in bad faith if the party knows that its action would interfere with the party's ability to perform its contract on time. Mr. Gray's testimony provided a ton of evidence how defendant not only interfered, but his freebies that he would give him, his requests that weren't on the contracts, were causing delay and added costs. And, you know, up to October 31st, when there was no more opportunity for him to continue on to be able to pay his workers. And that was a breach by the interference that Mr. Holmes defendant did. Defendant required plaintiff to remove all the storm windows with testimony from Mr. Gray. This caused plaintiff to have to do more taping. Defendant required plaintiff to do extensive sanding on the siding and a door. This added 6 days to the job, which created an approximate cost. Well, we're not going there. And plaintiff had to buy orbitals, materials that he, in his testimony, said cost him $1,000. Plaintiff couldn't continue to pay his workers with no end in sight due to the interference that defendant was doing with the paint jobs. And defendant's insistence on added tax were just too much for plaintiff to be able to continue on with that. Defendant's September 2, 2021 demand letter is a perfect example of what, as a testimony of Mr. Gray, shows that what he had to deal with regards to defendant in the contracts, who would add extra things to it that weren't agreed upon when they entered into those contracts. The demand was asking for more things than the actual initial contract of July 29, 2021. Mr. Gray testified that he told Mr. Holmes on August 27 that his interference was preventing him from completing the job. And if he didn't stop, plaintiff couldn't continue to do the paint job. At that time, Mr. Holmes seemed that, as Mr. Gray said, got the picture and he left them alone, and it was bliss, as Mr. Gray's testimony says. Those next 3 days, they were able to continue the work and progress as to almost completion, but that didn't last forever, as testimony of Mr. Gray and Mr. Kittleson showed. On August 31st, 2021, defendant came and he started again interfering, knowing full well that his actions was causing delays, and because plaintiff had already told him that, and the performance of the job was being delayed as well. Defendant breached this contract, which is the exterior contract, on July 29, 2021, with his unreasonable interference preventing plaintiff from performing the contract on time. This breach cost plaintiff another $7,920 on top of the $1,100 for the first. Defendant in his counterclaim is claiming that plaintiff breached both contracts, but defendant is the one who breached both contracts. With regards to August 9, 2021 contract, plaintiff pretty much finished the job and couldn't finish the other contract due to defendant's unreasonable interference. Lastly, Mr. Holmes claims plaintiff did not warranty his work as stated in the contract, but warranty as stated in the contract is for workmanship. Workmanship is not what Mr. Holmes was seeking or is seeking, but the completion of the paint job. Plaintiff has shown his burden that more likely than not, that defendant did not make the payment for the completion of the August 9, 2021 contract, and defendant unreasonably interfere with both contracts. Plaintiff asks his court to deny defendant's counterclaim and request for the damages he asked for in his small claims of $6,500. And thank you, Your Honor.
I remembered my question when you started, because my question was for you, so you're still on the oath. I'm not gonna make you go back up there. Did you, Mr. Chambi asked you a few times about whether or not you took action that interfered, but I want to know, was there times during the course of the plaintiff's work where you did point out issues that you had concerns with throughout the exterior of the property?
Yes,
Okay. And how often did that take place?
I had discussion with Mr. Gray 3 times. Once with Matt, and then I addressed an issue with Matt.
So you think at least 3 times? I think that was my question.
He initially told me I could address his son, the foreman who's present. His son never came back, and when I talked to Matt, he came to me and told me not to do it. So the 3 discussions I had about stuff were always with Mr. Gray.
And these are things that the things you were pointing out were things you were not satisfied with? Is that what it was?
Yes, a lot of them. Actually,
Okay. And that was about the scraping, or is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody want to question him about my questioning? Okay. Then you can proceed.
Thank you, defendant counterclaims, closing arguments. Your Honor, I think this case is pretty simple. We have a plaintiff who's a painter, contract to do a job. The contract provides for 2 colors, scrape the paint, not loose, prime 2 coats, and then you put finished color on it. My client was advising the plaintiff on parts of the contract that weren't being performed, pointing out areas that wanting to be corrected, which the plaintiff refused to do. Plaintiff admitted that they would come back to the property if the defendant would leave them alone. And this was on August 31st. Both parties admitted that this conversation occurred and that would happen. I sent the defendant had his attorney send a demand letter on September 2nd asking to come back and to finish the work. And the demand letter, Your Honor, it says 2 coats of primer, that's what the contract states, which was written by the plaintiff, and satisfactory work to the customer. So there's 2 causes of action my client brought. One was breach contract, the other one was warranty. His contract provides that he warranties all of his work. So, first off, he didn't do the work. He admitted that the plaintiff admitted that defendant did not fire him. Plaintiff admitted that he walked off the job. And there's no dispute that the plaintiff agreed to come back and finish the work if defendant wasn't going to bother him and be in the way, which defendant agreed to. And so
Right there, the plaintiff was given an opportunity to correct it and come back. We even sent a letter to correct it and come back, and the plaintiff refused to do it. The defendant testified he didn't receive one benefit from the work that was done. And this court can look at exhibits G and H of defendant's exhibits. And the defendant had to pay $18,500 for the exterior paint, which is more than what the previous exterior paint was. Defendant had to pay $2,400 for the interior paint. Now, plaintiff alleges that they were 99% done with the interior paint. Well, find that hard to believe considering we have exhibit H saying it's going to cost $2,400 to, well, 900 of it's to correct their work, another 1,500 to actually finish it. So how can they be 99% done when another company submits a quote for $2,400? The other thing the plaintiff has stated, it would only take a day or a day and a half to finish it. If that were all it would take, why didn't they come back and do it? They had that opportunity. They were given that chance. As a result of them refusing to do it, refusing to comply with their contract. And I think the contract is evidently clear. They breached it. If you look at they admitted they walked off the job. They didn't finish. That's a breach of the contract. They didn't do 2 coats of primer. That's a breach of contract. They never finished the exterior paint. It's a breach of contract. Why should they get to keep the deposit my client paid? My client had to pay twice for what they did. And Michigan case law is explicitly clear. Breach of contract. You put the non-breaching party in the same position had the contract not been breached. Here, my client should be awarded that $10,020, which he paid the plaintiff to do work which was not completed, and he had somebody else do it. Me personally, Michigan case law would also award the how much additional cost it would to do the job from another person, which was the $1,860. My client was being nice and didn't ask for it, so we're just asking for the return of the deposit of the $10,020. And that's why we're here today.
Okay, we are going to break for lunch because my staff has to eat. And I'll have an opportunity to review the evidence, and then we'll be back here at 1:30.
Thank you.